Hey everyone, we've updated our channel name from Chinese Novel Audio Wave to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Nothing else will be changing. We're still uploading a new video every day, bringing you the best Chinese novel audiobooks. Let's dive into today's story. Chapter 81, Dark Fruit's Weakness. Shameless. Shameful. It's a disgrace to the four emperors. Blackbeard kept cursing, his hands carrying the power of vibration, resisting the siege of the four emperors. But every time his fists and swords collided, the conqueror's entangled power transmitted from the opponent's sword made him suffer. Why can these two shameless guys have conqueror's haki, but he doesn't? Shanks felt a little embarrassed after hearing this, as he had just arrived when Buggy enthusiastically invited him to join the siege, and said that he wanted to regain the feeling of childhood. Shanks didn't think much about it at the time, he just drew his sword and went up. After fighting for a while he realized something was wrong. Since he became one of the four emperors, he had only been besieged by others, but had never besieged others. Especially during a live broadcast. Shanks, don't be lazy. Your conqueror's haki shouldn't be so weak. Use your full strength. Buggy keenly noticed that Shanks was not using his full strength at all. No, Shanks numbly increased his strength, but why am I the one standing in front now? Clearly, when he first arrived, Buggy and Blackbeard were fighting back and forth. I'm the demon fruit power. It will be very troublesome if I get caught by him and lose my power. Buggy said. Blackbeard's body was surrounded by dark water, which continuously absorbed Conqueror's entangled destructive power. Now you're not spreading rumors that I'm the user of the face fruit. Shanks was not afraid of the power of the dark fruit and attacked Blackbeard directly at close range. Maybe dark fruit will give you a favor. Buggy walked around behind Blackbeard and waved a few strands of hair. Critical explosion. The hair exploded when it got close to Blackbeard's body, but did not cause any harm to Blackbeard. Black smoke enveloped Blackbeard's body, and all the power of the explosion was absorbed by Blackbeard. Blackbeard's face twitched, and then he laughed wildly. Thief, ha 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 ha, this kind of attack is ineffective against me. My dark attraction ability can absorb all damage. Really? Buggy didn't stop, but continued to use critical explosion. I don't believe that this ability to absorb damage must have a limit. Dark fruit is the Logia devil fruit. It can absorb unlimited damage. Blackbeard took a deep breath and suddenly launched a fierce attack on Shanks, punching Shanks with his fists carrying concussive force. Hey, I'm here to help you, but you're just sitting there doing nothing. Shanks saw Buggy was still making ineffective attacks. You might as well just chop him. How can this be called paddling? Blackbeard, you've absorbed so much damage, how do you feel now? How do you feel? Buggy laughed wildly and fired more critical explosion. If you want to take the damage, then take it all. Let me see where your limit is. Blackbeard's expression changed drastically, and he suddenly stopped absorbing the dark energy. A violent explosion occurred, and Shanks, who was unable to react for a moment, was also sucked in. Hey, what are you doing? Shanks was covered in dust and slightly injured by the explosion. He was about to get angry when he found something wrong. In the huge pit formed by the explosion, Blackbeard, covered in blood, was rolling on the ground. Buggy, you be asterisk 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 D, it hurts so much. What's going on? Shanks didn't expect that Blackbeard had stopped being able to absorb damage. The dark fruit is different from other Logia fruits. It can absorb damage, but the body cannot elementalize when attacked, and it can withstand several times more pain than a normal person. Buggy explained, if it's one-on-one, this ability is quite useful. If it's one-on-many, as long as one person can withstand Blackbeard's attack, the others can inflict endless pain on him. After saying that, Buggy fired a few more critical explosion rounds. Dark cave path. Blackbeard endured the pain, stretched out his hand to create a black hole, and absorbed the power of the explosion. As long as he actively uses his ability, he won't be hurt. But now he is surrounded by two people and he can't use his ability at all. Go ahead, Shanks. Don't give him time to use this skill, and I can torture him to death bit by bit. Buggy said. You know the secret of dark fruit. Blackbeard kept panting. Were you acting all this time? He could still feel the piercing pain. This D pretended to be ignorant and made me endure the pain for half a day in vain. Although you looked very embarrassed when you rolled on the ground, you were really handsome when you took the damage. Buggy said, your so-called strongest devil fruit has obvious weaknesses. Now that you've recovered, let's continue. Damn it. Blackbeard used all his strength to mobilize the power of shock fruit, trying to destroy Cake Island. There is no chance of winning if we continue fighting, so it is better to disrupt the environment and then look for a chance to escape. The entire Cake Island began to shake and the ground broke into pieces, but a chill came over it and the cracked ground was quickly replaced by ice crystals. Kuzan. Blackbeard yelled angrily, you're still here. As a traitor, I won't feel at ease unless I see your death with my own eyes. Aokiji did not show up, only his voice came, Captain Blackbeard, even if you destroy the entire Cake Island, I can freeze the nearby ocean, and you can't escape. Or do you try to escape from the air? Long also showed up with Ivankov, it would be nice if I could take you on your journey. Blackbeard looked around and suddenly thought of Whitebeard during the Summit War. That guy's situation is very similar to mine, with enemies everywhere. But Whitebeard has the confidence to challenge the world. If it weren't for his injuries, he could really fight his way out with the power of the shock fruit. Why doesn't the same fruit have the power to destroy the world in my hands? He wanted to trigger an earthquake in the nearby sea and set off a tsunami, but a force was constantly fighting against him, which was Kuzan's freezing power. The nearby sea area was frozen into one entity by him. He miscalculated. The devil fruit owned by the strongest man in the world could not exert such powerful power in his hands. At this point, Blackbeard had to admit that the powerful one might not be shock fruit, but Whitebeard himself. Thief, ha 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 ha, if you want me dead, you will have to pay the price. After finding out that there was no hope of escape, Blackbeard revealed his true colors as a hero. Even if I have to fight to the death, I will take someone with me. Who of you will die with me? A large amount of darkness emanated from Blackbeard's body, and the darkness condensed into a huge black sphere in midair. He looked around fiercely, who of you is willing to go to hell with me? As long as you scare them, they won't dare to use their full strength, and you will feel less pressure. At this moment, a scream suddenly came from the sky. A series of figures fell from the sky. Nakanikani, rubber balloon. Our people are finally here. Buggy looked at the sky, if you have the guts, take this guy with you to hell. Chapter 82, Sun God vs. Darkness, have you heard of the second male path? Sorry, I'm late. Luffy used the power of the rubber balloon to slow down his fall. The people holding his arms jumped down one after another. Luffy threw Usopp out, and then landed on the ground. Shanks, I'm here to help. Buggy glanced at Long and thought, this guy is also a good father. It seems that no matter whether it is the pirates or the Revolutionary Army, dreams are much more important than children. Luffy. Shanks looked at Luffy and smiled, you have grown up. Rubber fruit has awakened, and the things that Joy Boy left at Raftel now have the key. Next, just go to Raftel to change this era. Of course, I want to be the king of pirates. Luffy grinned. Now is not the time to reminisce. Blackbeard is having a hard time maintaining his ultimate skill. Buggy's voice came, don't keep people waiting too long. Leave that guy to me. Luffy rubbed his fists, I've been wanting to beat him up for a long time. The ground turned into rubber, and Luffy began to jump on it to gather strength, while swinging his arms continuously. Armament Haki and Conqueror's Haki are wrapped around the arms together. Arrogant little brat, you don't understand the power of darkness. Great dark sky. Blackbeard threw the black sphere downwards. Feel what it feels like to be swallowed by darkness. Rubber rubber. Monkey God gun. Luffy's arms ignited with flames as they spun at high speed, and then transformed into giant fists that slammed into the black sphere. Under Blackbeard's astonished eyes, the black sphere was directly knocked away, and the next moment a huge fist was attacking him. Double shock. At the critical moment, Blackbeard used the power of the shock fruit with both fists, and obvious cracks appeared in the space around his fists, hitting Luffy's fists. There was a huge force, and Blackbeard flew backwards. But Luffy's other arm stretched out and wrapped around him. Good opportunity. Blackbeard activated the power of Dark Fruit, trying to invalidate Luffy's Devil Fruit ability. But just as he activated his ability, Luffy's head flew over quickly. Rubber rubber. Headbutt. Luffy's head hit Blackbeard's head hard, causing Blackbeard to scream in pain. One of Luffy's arms had its ability invalidated, but white steam streamers wrapped around it, and the arm returned to normal after a while. The next thing is, Luffy's body quickly expanded and turned into a giant, then he grabbed Blackbeard and hit him on the rubber floor like a ball. Giant ball. Seeing him slapping, Buggy almost wants to hum a song. What a ridiculous ability. The style of painting has changed since Luffy came. Luffy's 4th and 5th gear fighting styles are so different that it's indescribably awkward. In the 4th gear, it was still a fierce and passionate fight, but in the 5th gear, it became a cat and mouse game. Buggy, did you wait for Luffy to come over? Shanks said, you held back when you beat Blackbeard just now. The power of the explosion just now was too small. If Buggy had used the mushroom explosion at the beginning, Blackbeard would have been seriously injured if not killed. That's right. Let Blackbeard see the real power of the Devil Fruit. Blackbeard relies too much on the power of the Devil Fruit, but he may not know that the Devil Fruit encyclopedia he is looking at is a castrated version. Buggy said, the names of the really powerful Devil Fruits have all been erased, right, Shanks? It seems you know a lot. That's right, Blackbeard was fooled. Dark Fruit is not the strongest Devil Fruit at all. Shanks said, however, the strength of the Devil Fruit depends on how much the fruit's ability has been developed. There is no such thing as the strongest. You are kidding me. Katakuri has developed the Mochi Mochi fruit to its limit, but you still can't see where the Mochi Mochi fruit is so powerful. Buggy scoffed at this. You knew from the beginning that rubber fruit was abnormal, right? Haha, it's just a coincidence. Shanks smiled silly. If you say so, then so be it. Shanks refused to admit it, and Buggy was too lazy to expose him. But Shanks stopped smiling. Buggy, do you want to go to Raftel with me to open up a new era? What? Are you going to kill Luffy and then go to Raftel together? Buggy deliberately pulled out the autumn water and said loudly. The eyes of the people around immediately turned to this side. Usopp was startled, fearing a fight would break out. The others were quite calm. Don't be afraid, Luffy's father, the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dragon, is still here. They were just joking. Robin comforted Usopp. She studied with the Revolutionary Army for 2 years and saw Dragon and Ivankov at first sight. You always joke regardless of the situation. Shanks said helplessly. I thought you were going to be the mastermind, train Luffy step by step, and then reap the fruits of victory in the end. Buggy took Chu Shui back. I just want to go to Raftel and confirm some things. Shanks said, haven't you always wanted to go there? I'm not interested now. I'm not interested in so-called fate. I don't believe that a visit to Raftel can change the world in this era. Buggy said, what really determines the newness and oldness of an era is the thoughts of most people in the world. Raftel not only hides a blank history, but also has the power to fight against the world government. But what does it matter if the celestial dragons are destroyed? Not long after, new celestial dragons will appear, and at most they will just have a different name. That's right. Liberating imprisoned thoughts is the right way to change the times. Long walked over and said, it seems that Captain Buggy is more suitable to be a revolutionary army. I'm not that selfless, and I don't agree with many of the Revolutionary Army's ideas and practices. Buggy said. In this world of great disparity in power, the Revolutionary Army's theories simply don't work. They want to overthrow the celestial dragons, but they don't know how to govern the country after overthrowing the celestial dragons. They advocate freedom and equality, but a giant and an ordinary person simply cannot get along equally because the difference in strength is too great. Only under the restraint of violence can all races become equal. Hey, Luffy is fighting and you guys are just chatting. If you don't help, we'll take over. Kid said unhappily. Kid, you can't help with your strength. Shanks restrained his smile. Blackbeard is a little embarrassed now, but it won't take much effort to beat you, don't go and make trouble. At this time, Blackbeard had escaped from the predicament of being a ball, and was hitting Luffy like crazy in anger. Don't underestimate me, red-haired Shanks. Kid's mechanical arm reorganized and transformed into an electromagnetic cannon. I am no longer the same as before. Magnetic force burst out, and Kid aimed the muzzle at Shanks. Hey, calm down, Luo on the side quickly advised. But there was already light flashing on the electromagnetic gun. Shanks's eyes turned dangerous, and Conqueror's hockey was aimed at Kid. Little ghost, do you want to die? Kid was shocked by the powerful Conqueror's hockey. The next moment, Shanks disappeared and Griffin directly cut off Kid's arms. For Luffy's sake, I'll only teach you a small lesson this time. Shanks kicked Kid and he landed right at Buggy's feet. Luo sighed, quickly picked up the arm from the ground, and ran towards Kid with Kira, ready to connect it to Kid. Damn it, why is the gap still so big? Kid said angrily. He actually didn't see Shanks's movements just now. Your magnetic fruit ability is really underdeveloped. Buggy looked at Kid under his feet and suddenly became interested. Young man, do you want to become stronger? I have a method that is tailor-made for you. You can't practice it without losing an arm. Have you heard of the second man's way? Chapter 83. Electromagnetic guns are for women. Do you want to go and tighten the screws? What is the second man's way? Kid was a little wary. The guy in front of him seemed to have a worse character than Shanks. To put it simply, it is a quick training method to increase the power of the magnetic fruit through a period of training. Buggy released some magnetic field rotation force, which surprised Kid. Why can you also master magnetism? Why is magnetism the exclusive power of the magnetic fruit? Even the Paramecia fruit isn't so overbearing. Buggy used the power of the magnetic field to attract a mechanical part on the ground. Countless electric lights appeared and formed an electromagnetic acceleration channel. A super railgun. A blinding light flashed, and after being accelerated by electromagnetic force, the mechanical parts flew towards Blackbeard at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this, Blackbeard ignored Luffy's attack and quickly used the dark acupuncture point to absorb the attack. However, the mechanical parts hit Luffy directly. Since they failed to penetrate Luffy's rubber body, they flew hundreds of meters away with Luffy's body. There was sudden silence all around. Buggy directly dissipates the force of magnetic field rotation. It hurts, Buggy, what are you doing? Luffy complained that he had been fighting Blackbeard for a long time, but it was not as painful as this one. His rubber body is not vulnerable to Blackbeard's concussion attacks at all, and can only be damaged by armament hockey. Ahem, it was just a slip of the hand. Don't worry about these details. Just continue. After seeing Luffy continue to fight Blackbeard, Buggy whispered to Kid, Tisk, the electromagnetic cannon is really for women in miniskirts. Real men should grow mushrooms. You just didn't hit it right. Kid couldn't stand Buggy's trick of insulting him. What kind of woman would use a trick like an electromagnetic cannon? I already said that my hand slipped, so you don't want your legs anymore. Buggy's eyes turned fierce. Kid closed his mouth decisively. At this time, Luo had already reattached his broken arm. Kid hesitated for a while, but couldn't help but ask, can that secondary male path really increase strength? Buggy can use an electromagnetic gun, so he must have a good understanding of magnetism. Of course, this has been verified by many people, Buggy said. How should we do this? Kid thought Buggy would put forward some conditions, but Buggy directly told him the method of practicing the second man's way. First, we need to find 4 strong men from the base world. Let's call them the 4 basic leaders. Ivankov happens to be here. See if you can ask him for help. A strong person from the base world. Kid suddenly felt something was wrong. Then let G2C insult you endlessly in the small dark room. You cannot resist. You can only fight against this insult with a will of steel. After this ultimate indignity, even if you are covered in scars and your little kid is shattered, your will must remain as strong as steel. At this time, you must let someone you care about very much see this scene. Do you have a sweetheart? Buggy looked at Kid and said, from the look of you, I guess not. Then let Kira see how devastated you are and destroy the last line of defense in your heart. After your spirit is reborn from destruction and you have gone through the baptism of hell, you will become a qualified lunatic. No, a qualified strong man. Are you kidding me? How can there be such an outrageous way of practicing? Kid felt sick just by listening to the process. Believe it or not, I'm telling the truth, Buggy said. It is true that many magnetic field guys have improved their cultivation by practicing the secondary male way, and their strength has increased by at least 10 times. The power of the magnetic fruit is also the power of the magnetic field, so it should be universal. The little kid is torn to pieces. The price is too high. Kira muttered to himself. Isn't there a doctor here? Buggy pointed at Luo. Why don't we ask him to help Kid with the repair? Impossible. I don't want to repair that kind of thing. Luo said with disdain. I won't let you touch me either. Kid retorted. Why not get a mechanical drill? Drills are also a man's romance. Buggy made a suggestion. No, I won't practice this damn secondary male path. Kid absorbed the scattered parts and turned them into arms again. Whatever, I'm just making a suggestion. You've seen the difference in power between you and Shanks, right? The 4 emperors are not someone you can challenge. Buggy said, in the future, the gap between you and Luffy will become larger and larger, and you may even fall behind Law. It's true that I'm not as strong as Luffy right now, but I will catch up. Kid was a little unconvinced. Really? Buggy pointed at the battlefield. Are you sure you can fight against the Nika fruit? After fighting for a period of time, Luffy also had injuries of varying degrees. But as Luffy's heart beat, the sound like a drum spread throughout the entire Cake Island. Drum of liberation. The scars on Luffy's body gradually disappeared, and he became energetic again. This is really interesting. Let's continue, Blackbeard. Luffy gave a weird smile. Are you a monster? Blackbeard was a little scared when he saw Luffy's expression. That guy would show that weird smile on his face from time to time, and even when he was beaten and injured, he would keep shouting that it was so funny. Is his physical strength unlimited? I really want to know how Kaido fights him. After seeing Luffy's recovery ability, Kid felt inferior to him. Okay, even if the gap between me and Luffy will widen, I won't lose to this guy. Kid pointed at Law. Luo's op fruit is worth 5 billion, which is higher than his bounty. The upper limit of op fruit development is naturally high as well. Buggy said. In the scope of Operation Space Rom, Luo is omnipotent. Buggy thinks this is also a devil fruit with a hidden name. Kid wanted to refute, but then he thought about how Law's moves were indeed strange and varied during the battle against Charlotte Linlin, which played a big role. In fact, the upper limit of your magnetic fruit is quite high, but it needs to be in the hands of someone like Vegapunk to be fully developed. In your hands, it can only fire an electromagnetic cannon and assemble a magnetic demon. It's the same magnetic force, but in the hands of a big shot it can be used to do a lot of things, but in the hands of a poor student it's just a big magnet. Then I won't practice any secondary male way. How can I face people if it gets out? Kira, let's go. Kid called his friends and prepared to leave. I forgot to mention one thing. To practice the second man's way, you also need to prepare a camera den mushi. It would be best to let everyone in the world know about this, although most people probably won't be interested in it. Buggy added. The guy who practices this kind of thing must be a pervert, right? How can he face people? Kid didn't expect there would be such an outrageous request. When a strong man who practices the second man's way can decide the life and death of the entire world with a single word, would you still dare to laugh at him? Not only that, there will be countless imitators. This is the reality of the world. Temporary humiliation can be exchanged for great power, but by then it will only lead to internal rebellion. I am afraid that even the 4 bases will not be enough. But even if you don't practice, your ability is still quite useful. You can go to the factory to tighten screws. Buggy said. Are you kidding? Are you insulting me? I'm a pirate. Kid was a little angry. This sea area will soon have a new order. If you want to be a pirate in the future, get out of here and don't step into my territory. I'm not as easy to talk to as the marine. Buggy pulled out the autumn water, and Conqueror's haki was wrapped around it. What do you mean? Kid prepared for a fight. Buggy ignored him and rushed towards Blackbeard. Everyone is here, it's time to end this game. Blackbeard, let your death herald the end of the Pirates era. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 84, The Overlord of the Old Times, Ultimate Conquerors. What do you think of this live broadcast? On a charred hill, Morgans was questioning his men. This rare battle between the four emperors must have shocked the world. President, the response is not very good. His news bird collected some feedback and reported it to Morgans. What? Why is that? This is a war between the emperors of the sea. It may determine the direction of the world. Morgans didn't understand why this happened. How should I put it? Four emperors are too far away from ordinary people. Many people have never even heard of them. They just watch the live broadcast as a fun event. But in terms of excitement, apart from the surprising moment when the bombing of Cake Island started, the situation afterwards was one-sided and it was no longer interesting to watch. Morgans checked the feedback from various places. Except for the islands under the influence of the former Whitebeard Pirates and Bigmom Pirates, the member states of the world government did not care much about it. However, the world government and Marine paid close attention to this live broadcast and specially received the signal from him. In other words, the upper class is very concerned about this matter, but more lower-class civilians feel that it has nothing to do with them and are just watching the fun. In fact, everyone misses the last live broadcast. Newsbird whispered, civilians don't care about the life and death of the Blackbeard Pirates, but if they can kill celestial dragons to liven up the atmosphere, it will be a show that everyone will like to watch. Quote. Morgans didn't expect the civilians to have this kind of preference. Do we have any information on lone celestial dragons? This live broadcast suffered a loss. Next time I will have to let Buggy the Clown to make up for it. No, celestial dragons are not fools. After that incident, they all ran to the holy land of Mariajoy and hid there, said the newsbird. These cowards. Morgans cursed. Forget it, let's end this live broadcast first, and we can deal with the rest later. The Blackbeard Pirates are finished. At the Marine headquarters, Akainu sees Buggy walking towards Blackbeard with a knife, and knows that the Blackbeard Pirates will soon become history. A pirate force that disturbed the world disappeared, but a larger pirate force appeared. I really don't know whether it is good or bad, Kizaru said. Buggy not only took in the remnants of the Beast's pirates, the Bigmom Pirates, and the Whitebeard Pirates, but this time he wiped out the Blackbeard Pirates. I'm guessing their territories will also be taken over by Buggy. Crane drew a large circle on the map. With Buggy and Shanks' relationship, the situation we face is even more serious than before. Have you contacted Sengoku and Garp? The Marine headquarters needs them to be here, Akainu said in a deep voice. We're on our way back, but Garp is very unhappy and says his mission isn't complete yet, Crane said. Now is not the time for him to act willful. Let him come back as soon as possible. We are short of manpower right now, Akainu said bluntly. Even though I've retired, I haven't taken off the robe of justice on my body. Marshal Sakazuki, I think our strength is enough to. Green Bull was about to say something when a finger pointed at his heart. Brother Wangmu, although you are a strong man of the younger generation of Marines, don't underestimate the old guys of the old times. Kizaru smiled and retracted his finger. You still need to practice your strength. Green Bull's face looked very ugly. He didn't even react when Kizaru attacked him just now. Borsellino, stop messing around and just focus on watching the live broadcast, Crane said. Got it, Vice Admiral Suru. Kizaru returned to his lazy look and cast his eyes on the screen. Buggy, I can take care of Blackbeard myself, I don't need your help. Luffy shouted when he saw Buggy coming. But I don't want to wait any longer. Shanks, don't you have something else to do? Hurry up and deal with Blackbeard, Buggy said. Why don't you just go ahead? Shanks said. Come on, since you've bet the new era on Luffy, at least let him see the power of the overlord of the old era. Buggy said seriously. Show me your full strength, Shanks. Let's continue the battle from 30 years ago. This time, it's up to the two of us to take out that fat black guy. Is that what you think? I see. Shanks became serious, invisible pressure spread from him, and the whole Cake Island was filled with black lightning. The news bird couldn't bear the pressure and fell to the ground unconscious. At the critical moment, Morgans flew over and caught the Den Den Mushi, thus preventing the live broadcast from being interrupted. I feel a little uncomfortable. What is this? Usopp felt that his breathing was a little smooth. This is the Captain's Conqueror's Haki. It has a range large enough to cover an entire island. Isn't that an exaggeration, son? A hand was placed on Usopp's head. You need to improve your strength. I guess I'll have to give you some special training. Stimulated by the red-haired Conqueror's Haki, Hancock's momentum surged, and his continuous kicks broke through Katarina's defense. Even if I can't conquer the world, I will always be number one in beauty. Die, ugly woman. Hancock's final kick shattered Katarina's chest. It's a rare occasion for the captain to be serious. I can't miss this good show. Lackey Lou looked at Basque Jot, who was covered in wounds, and asked, Brother Jack, can you still charge? It's the mammoth spoon. Jack said seriously, of course, look at my horns and fangs. The ancient mammoth rushed towards Basque again. Change your name again. Lackey Lou covered both his hands and feet with armament Haki. I'm going to start cooking too. Seeing Basque holding Jack's tusks with both hands, Lackey Lou instantly flashed in front of Basque's huge head and kicked him in the chin. Meat hook. Basque's huge body was kicked away, and Lackey Lou's fat body moved quickly, transforming into 5 figures. Dismember. There were bursts of bone-breaking sounds, and by the time Basque fell to the ground, he was completely lifeless. It's done. Lucky Lou took out a piece of meat with bones and took a bite. Come on, Jack, let's go and watch the fun. In Moria's shadow barrier, Hawkeye and Shiryu are fighting in a lightless environment. Are you afraid of my transparent fruit, so you created this environment? Shiryu said. No, Moria set up the barrier because he was afraid that you would run away. Hawkeye said calmly. Whether you are invisible or not makes no difference to me. Oh, how arrogant. But Shiryu knew Hawkeye was telling the truth. The world's greatest swordsman, right? He really deserves the title. He lit a cigar and a red dot appeared in the dark space, but Shiryu didn't care. After I die, please help me find a new owner for Thunderstorm. Shiryu said. A bloodthirsty demon sword. I know who is suitable to be its owner. Hawkeye said. But he may not think highly of this knife. Humph. Thunderstorms are very fierce and can corrode people's minds. Don't blame me for not warning you. Shiryu took a long puff on his cigar. It dares not, Hawkeye asserted. Okay, now it's my last move. Shiryu took a stance, maybe I'll be the winner in the end. Thunder walks, blood rain. 2 figures began to charge at the same time. As the sound of swords tearing flesh and blood rang out, a figure fell to the ground. I've been waiting for someone who can defeat me, but that person is not you. Hawkeye picked up the thunderstorm on the ground and said, you can open the barrier now, Moria. The shadow barrier opened, and Hawkeye looked in the direction of the final battle. Shanks, how long has it been since you last took this seriously? Chapter 85 Roger Pirates Gemini, God Killer. Luffy, you have grown a lot. But please step aside for now. You new sprouts of the new era will have a bigger stage. Shanks drew out the griffin and pointed it at Blackbeard. Luffy was reluctant but still stepped back. Come to think of it, I've never seen Shanks take a serious action before. The incident with the King of the Near Sea does not count. Damn it, Straw Hat is the new sprout, and lousy is the old sprout. Kid cursed in a low voice. Don't do stupid things. If you lose your arms again, I won't care about you anymore. Luo saw that Kid was always on the verge of death and didn't want to waste time on reattaching his arm. Shanks turned to look at Buggy. Buggy, it's your turn now. Let me show you your courage. Don't let me outshine you. He once thought that Buggy didn't have Conqueror's Haki, but now it seems that Buggy has hidden it. How could I lose to a guy like you, Shanks? If you accept fate, you might as well grab the throat of the goddess of fate and FK her over. Can't the remnants of the old era create a new era? Shanks, my dominance, my ambition, feel it. Buggy's Conqueror's haki immediately increased dramatically. Buggy's momentum is stronger than ever at this moment. The two Conquerors' haki intertwined, and the entire Cake Island was shaking. The sky split open. Black lightning struck from time to time. Beckman stretched out his hand to feel it. With his physique, he could feel a slight numbness. Luckily the newbies are on board, otherwise it would be unbearable. These two guys are monsters. But Shanks, what Buggy said is right, with your strength, you can definitely join forces to usher in a new era. Is Raftel really that important? You guy. Shanks didn't expect Buggy's Conqueror's haki to reach this level. Don't underestimate the world government, the enemy is stronger than you think. So what? My strength won't stop here. If the enemy isn't strong enough, what fun is there in this world? I will only be stronger than them, and then I will smash their teeth one by one. Under the influence of faith, the power of magnetic field rotation was integrated into Conqueror's haki, and the black lightning on Cake Island became 10 times denser. I can't hold on any longer. Usopp felt like he was about to faint. Wake up. Usopp was slapped in the face more than a dozen times. Hold on, face the pressure from the strong, it will be good for you in the future, Usopp said. No, Usopp said slurredly. Are you sure you are Usopp's biological father? Nami has released Zeus to block the black lightning that may fall at any time. But Zeus tried it and ran into Nami's arms. This is not edible. It's numb. Zoro felt a sour feeling when he saw the black knife Chu Shui making an excited low sound in Buggy's hand. Green algae head, why does your hair seem to be brighter in color? Sanji exclaimed on the side. Shut up, you idiot, Zoro scolded. Is this the true power of the four emperors? Then what is Charlotte Linlin? Kid felt his arms starting to hurt again. Ha 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 ha, incredibly domineering, incredibly crazy. Such a horrible demon god. Is there anything in the world that can resist him? Damn it, is there anything in the world that can resist him? Crocodile laughed. Whitebeard, if you had this ambition, it would have been great. Why can you two shameless guys own conquerors? Blackbeard's face was full of madness. He was already so strong, but two people were still attacking him alone. Didn't their conscience hurt? A hyena complains that he can't become a lion. Why don't you look at what you have done? Buggy sneered, you and your men are just a group of hyenas huddled together for warmth. Do you still want to be the overlord? Why did it turn out like this? Blackbeard still couldn't accept it. I've tried my best. Because your efforts are a joke. Even without eating the devil fruit, Blackbeard's power is still high, and he is also a veteran of the Whitebeard Pirates. If he didn't hide his strength, he could even compete for the position of vice captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. Marco's character simply wouldn't compete with him. Even if you want the dark fruit, you may not be unable to get it if you honestly talk to your friend Saki. Saki is a chef, what does he want dark fruit to do? Deal with kitchen waste. Whitebeard is getting old, and sooner or later he will hand over the Whitebeard Pirates to someone else. Would Whitebeard choose the young and reckless ace over the powerful Blackbeard? Blackbeard could have legitimately become the overlord of the sea, but he gave it up because of his selfishness. Blackbeard, who is dark-hearted, thinks that everyone is the same as him, so he does all kinds of shameless things for dark fruit. Whitebeard told me about your weaknesses, and you died because of your recklessness and arrogance, Buggy said. Blackbeard's rashness caused him to make a series of wrong choices, and his arrogance made him act recklessly and make countless enemies. At the end of the day, you're just an idiot. Send him to hell, Shanks. Buggy instantly flashed to Blackbeard's side and swung Autumn Water. Autumn Water attracted the surrounding black lightning, which turned into a thunder blade and slashed towards Blackbeard. God avoid. Dark Point. Blackbeard used the power of the dark fruit to absorb Conqueror's haki, but haki's restraint on the devil fruit's ability prevented him from doing so. Blackbeard's palm was cut and he screamed wildly in pain. It hurts so much, but I don't want to die, I still have dreams. But the next moment, Shanks used the same move and slashed Blackbeard on the back. Blackbeard was about to turn his head when Chu Shui moved upward from the bottom, creating a cut on his chest. God's enemy. If you don't let me go, then let's die together. Swallowed by darkness. Blackbeard wanted to turn himself into a black hole and die together with the others. The power of the dark fruit devoured the power of the shock fruit in his body, and a small black hole was forming in Blackbeard's chest, which first devoured Blackbeard's body. Endless suction came from the black hole. Let's destroy the world along with it. Blackbeard grinned. What are you dreaming about at this hour? Buggy poured his strength into Chu Shui. Final blow, Shanks. You even learned that trick. Shanks saw what Buggy was going to do. The world no longer needs pirates like the Blackbeard pirates. Pirates who only know how to plunder should disappear. The era of pirates started by Captain Roger can now come to an end. Buggy said. You're going to mess up the world, starting with Blackbeard's life. Shanks asked. No, I'm already messing up the world. Do you want to come with me? There's still room on my ship. All the black lightning on the entire Cake Island gathered on Chu Shui and Griffin. You rejected me before, and I won't say yes to you this time. Regret it, Buggy. What do you want to do? Blackbeard wanted to make the black hole expand rapidly, but he had already lost control of his body. Dark Fruit's power has gone out of control and no longer obeys his commands. Roger Pirates Gemini, we'll send you on your way. Shisui and Griffin swung at the same time, and the attacks infused with all of Buggy and Shanks' hockey collided with each other. God kills. X2. Chapter 86 A New Order at Sea. Under the combined attack of the two Overlord forces, the black hole that had not yet formed was directly annihilated, causing an earth-shaking explosion. As the world watched, one of the four emperors, captain of the Blackbeard pirates, Marshal D. Teach, fell. Morgan suddenly discovered something. The vacant position of four emperors could not be replaced by any new pirates force. Neither the Kid Pirates nor the Heart Pirates have the foundation to meet the requirements of an imperial group. It seems that the position of four emperors will be vacant for a long time. Among the remaining 3 sea emperors, the Buggy Pirates are the most powerful, forming a situation of one superpower and 2 strong ones. The Buggy Pirates' sphere of influence has also become extremely large. Originally, the Buggy Pirates occupied 3/4 of the 4 emperors' sphere of influence. From any perspective, the Buggy Pirates are the biggest winners of this war. Is it a coincidence? Or is it intentional? Morgans was thinking about these things when he noticed Buggy waving at him. What's up, Captain Buggy? Morgans flew over with the camera Den Mushi. I have something I want to announce to the world, a new order at sea, Buggy said. Morgan's eyes suddenly lit up. Something big was about to happen. Are you going to start the speech again? Morgans asked expectantly. There is no need for speeches anymore. This is an order issued by the ruler of this sea area. Buggy said slowly. First, the Whitebeard Pirates' territories, the Big Mom Pirates Wanoku, and Wanokuni will all be under my direct rule. These places no longer need to pay tribute in exchange for protection, but only need to pay tithe, that is, 1/10 of the annual income as tax. As soon as this statement was made, it immediately sparked a heated discussion around the world. Is it really true that only 1/10 is required? Since it was announced in front of the whole world, it must be true. I'm so envious. Due to the high amount of heavenly gold, the tax rate of member countries of the world government starts at 30%, and in some places it even reaches more than 50%. Second, within the area of my rule, no matter what happened before, from now on, regardless of race or status, everyone has equal rights. Abolish slavery and return the slaves I have kidnapped to me within 10 days. Of course, you can still have some hope, but it's best not to let me know, otherwise I will come to visit you personally. B****************** D. In a room in the Holy Land of Mariajoy, silk threads were dancing wildly, cutting all the decorations in the room into pieces. Where do you get your confidence from, Buggy the Clown? Doflamingo cursed. If you have the guts, come to the Holy Land of Mariajoy. He just spent a lot of money to buy a large number of slaves from Blackbeard. Although it was the world government's money, he had other uses for these slaves as part of his plan. The plan to set a trap to lure Buggy the Clown and his gang was disrupted, and Buggy turned around and wiped out the Blackbeard pirates. He only reported this plan to the 5 elders and obtained their consent. No one else knew what this plan was. But Buggy actually killed Blackbeard, who was about to backstab him. Doflamingo suddenly had an absurd thought. Could there be a traitor among the 5 elders? Doflamingo, the 5 elders are summoning you. A CP0 agent found Doflamingo. They also watched the live broadcast. Are they so impatient? Doflamingo followed CP0 to 5 elders without caring about his relatives. Doflamingo, release the slaves that were traded from all nations, said one of the 5 elders. How is that possible? I bought it at a huge price. Doflamingo didn't expect 5 elders to say such a thing. Now is not the time to start a conflict with the Buggy pirates, said the 5 elders. The Blackbeard pirates have disappeared. Your plan will not succeed. Even if Blackbeard is gone, we still have the Marine. Why not just send the Marine out? Doflamingo said. Then go and discuss it with Akainu yourself. 5 elders, holding the knife, said, if he agrees, the plan will proceed as usual. Doflamingo knew Akainu would never agree. What about sending out the Knights of God? The mission of the Knights of God is to guard the Holy Land of Mariajoy, and they will not set foot outside of here, said the tallest of the 5 elders. So you were scared by Buggy the Clown? Doflamingo said, you want to send back the slaves you bought. Where is the Celestial Dragon's national treasure? Isn't it time to activate it now? Doflamingo pointed at the live broadcast and said, 3 royal pirates are gathering together. What a great opportunity. Your father actually told you about the national treasure. This is a secret that only the patriarch of every family can know. 5 pairs of eyes immediately stared at Doflamingo. We don't know much. Shouldn't we be discussing Buggy the Clown's problem now? Doflamingo asked. That's not important anymore. It's just a question of where a group of slaves belong. But you, Doflamingo. I remember that Luo was your subordinate. He is an op fruit user. Don't you really know much? The 5 elders turned their attention to Doflamingo, while Buggy on the screen continued to issue orders. Third, for the pirates within my sphere of influence who have not engaged in plundering, I will give you 3 days to leave. Those who engage in plundering, better pray that you don't run into me, otherwise death will be your only destination. Buggy's third command immediately caused a sensation around the world. In the blackmail bar, not only Rayleigh is watching the live broadcast, but some pirates are also here. What does Buggy mean? Does he think of himself as a Marine? A captain of the pirates slammed the table hard. Shaki glared at him and memorized his appearance in his little notebook. It doesn't matter what you do, but you really can't enter his territory anymore. One of the pirates said, what else can we do besides looting? Performing arts. Are we only able to operate in Marine's territory? I always feel something is weird. Buggy betrayed us pirates, who's going to teach him a lesson? The Blackbeard pirates can't even hold out for a day, who dares to go? Just watching him continue to be so arrogant. It's really annoying. In the blackmail bar, the pirates are discussing the impact of Buggy's orders. And in the world, such scenes can be found everywhere. The world has had enough of the pirates, intrusions over the years, but now a high-ranking pirate has turned against them. What does little Buggy want to do? Shaki asked Rayleigh, don't you want to be a pirate? I don't know. Let's wait and see what he will do with that sea area, Rayleigh said. Finally, a reward of 1 billion Baileys is offered for finding Edward Weeble. Anyone who knows can contact the Buggy Pirates. Chapter 87 Morgan's Thank You Gift, the World's Diva. Anything else? Morgans asked expectantly. At least make some comments that everyone likes to hear, such as beating up celestial dragons or something like that. That's all. I'll find you next time during the live broadcast. Buggy said. We may not be able to do it next time. Our Den Den Mushi suffered heavy losses. Morgans looked at the camera Den Den Mushi in his arms. These Den Den Mushi that can record live broadcasts are high-end products. Now that the relationship with the world government has become strained, I can't buy them even if I want to. We can cooperate on this. Maybe I can provide you with a batch of Den Den Mushi, but it will take some time. Buggy said. Really? Thank you for supporting journalism. Morgans said happily. You need money, what are you dreaming of? Buggy didn't expect Morgans to want to get it for free. But our funds are also very tight. Morgans said. You monopolize the world's news industry, and you tell me you have no money. Buggy was really shocked. Journalism is expensive, Morgans explained. See that reindeer over there? What happened to Chopper? For a long time, the reward for it was only 50 Baileys, which was not as valuable as its reward order. But based on the seriousness of the news, we had to print it. There are a lot of these cases, and the sales of newspapers aren't very good, so you can't really make much money selling newspapers, Morgans said. So the reason for not making money is Chopper. Why don't you raise the price? Buggy asked. The pricing power of this monopoly business is entirely in the hands of Morgans. Then many people won't be able to afford newspapers. A newspaper costs as much as a reindeer, which is already very high. If it goes any higher, it would go against the original intention of my journalism, Morgans said. Buggy was in awe. You are a true media bird. Can you sponsor me some Den Den Mushi? Morgans asked expectantly. It still doesn't work. My Den Den Mushi was hard-earned. Why don't you improve the newspaper and print some content that everyone likes to increase sales? Buggy gave Morgans an idea. Interesting content. Are you going to kill celestial dragons again? The sales of that issue were surprisingly good. Morgans immediately perked up. Not this kind, and I can't find celestial dragons right now. I mean the kind of newspapers that men like to read, you know. The entertainment industry in the pirates' world is polarized, with the rich living a life of luxury and having all kinds of recreational activities. The poor civilians have basically no spiritual food to eat, so this kind of newspaper should have good sales. That kind. Morgans showed an, I understand, expression, we have it. What? Why don't I know? The newsbird that Buggy remembered would only drop a roll of newspaper, collect the money and leave, and never recommend any other newspapers to him. Is it because I look too upright? It's this kind of back-page newspaper. Morgans took out a few newspapers from his pocket. Do you want to see it? Ahem. I don't have any other intentions, I just want to broaden my horizons. Buggy took the newspaper and flipped through it. Is this kind of newspaper worthy of being called the inner edition? The pornographic pictures on it can't even be used as spellcasting materials. Buggy said with disdain. We can't help it. We used to have an ace contributor named Absa, who provided many exclusive photos and was very popular among men. Later he disappeared, and the sales of the back-page newspapers were not as good as before. Morgans said regretfully, we never found him. This will probably never be found, and it's all Blackbeard's fault. Come on, keep going, and come find me when you go bankrupt. I still need people like you. Buggy patted Morgans' shoulder. The value of Morgans lies in the newsbirds that are all over the world. In fact, Buggy thinks that they can do some courier business part-time, which is not bad to make money. Are you trying to comfort me or to sarcastically say that? Morgans swatted Buggy's hand away with his wing. Although this live broadcast is not very popular with the audience, I know this is big news that can change the world. Thank you for notifying me. Morgans said seriously. Although the original 4 emperors have been replaced by 3 during this period, the destruction of the Blackbeard pirates cannot be underestimated. As a thank you, I'll give you my collection. Remember to notify me if there's any news next time. Morgans rummaged around in his arms. What are you going to give me, bird eggs? Buggy asked. There is no such thing. Morgans took out a photo and an exquisite invitation from his pocket and handed it to Buggy solemnly. Here. In the photo, a girl with red and white hair is singing, and below is her signature, Yuta. This is. Buggy didn't know what to say for a moment. The world's diva, Yuta. Surprise. Morgans said, this is her autographed photo and concert invitation. I got it with great difficulty. What a surprise. Isn't this just a smaller version of the colorful Nami? Why would I need her photo? The concert will start on August 6th, and then you can go and enjoy the most beautiful music in the world. Morgans looked reluctant to leave. Remember to notify me next time if there is any big news. After saying that, he left Cake Island without looking back. Hey, Buggy, now that Blackbeard is taken care of, we should leave. Red-haired Shanks came up to say goodbye to Buggy, and suddenly found the photo in Buggy's hand. You old, disrespectful B*******************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************่You split Buggy in half. I just received this too. Who would go to listen to a little girl singing? If there's a girl group performing, it's worth going to see it. Just as Buggy gathered his body together, another sword light cut him in half. Don't you dare say that, Yuta. Shanks, you're not done yet, are you? Buggy threw the photo in his hand away and prepared to fight back. But Shanks simply threw away Griffin and took the photo. Oh, man. Buggy split his hand apart, picked up Griffin, and inserted it into the sheath on Shanks' body. Is that what you're busy doing? Buggy asked. Shanks hesitated, nodded and said, yes, I received news that Yuta wanted to do something bad. The pirates' version of Eyes of the Moon builds a world where everyone is happy, full of middle school power. It would be a good idea if Yuta herself didn't have to be sacrificed. Most of the civilians in Pirates have unhappy lives. If they could find happiness in a fictional world, I guess a lot of people would sign up voluntarily. Unfortunately, she didn't know that everyone has a different definition of happiness, and she was destined not to make everyone happy. For example, Buggy wants a fantasy world full of 2D wives, if Yuta can do it. Damn, I'm really a little moved. Chapter 88 Allies Leave, Nuka-Cola. Seeing Shanks put the photo in his arms, Buggy raised the invitation in his hand. Do you want this? No need. I didn't go there to listen to music. I went there to stop something. Shanks sighed. He is not afraid of how strong the enemy is, but he doesn't know how to face his own daughter. Just let me know if you need any help, Buggy said. Just mind your own business. By the way, when you clean up the pirates, clean up my territory as well. Shanks suddenly thought of something. If we run into the Bardo Club pirates, help me teach Bartolomeo a lesson. I don't have time to look for him. How do you teach me a lesson? Cut off my arm. In that case, Bartolomeo's devil fruit ability will be basically useless. It would be fine if he just took off his legs, so he wouldn't have to run around chasing stars. When Shanks found out that Bartolomeo was also a fanatical fan of Yuta, he really wanted to kill him. Having such crazy fans is not a good thing for Yuta. They might be causing troubles and having a bad influence on Yuta. If Bartolomeo didn't have the identity of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, Shanks would have killed him directly. We have to go, Luffy, let's continue looking for Raftel, maybe we can meet there. Shanks loudly said goodbye to Luffy in the distance. Do you want to be the king of pirates too, Shanks? Luffy was stunned for a moment, then grinned. Then we'll be rivals. I'm also interested in the stuff on Raftel. Be careful, don't end up losing to us. Shanks called to Beckman beside him. Let's go. Raftel has all of our dreams. Even if my opponent is Shanks, I won't give in. Luffy threw his hands and said excitedly, I will knock you down when the time comes. If you have ambition, keep going. Beckman gave Luffy a thumbs up and left with Shanks. Usopp, I don't have time to teach you this time. I'll make it up to you next time. Usopp gave Usopp a hug. I was just a child when I left, and now I'm a man. No need to teach. Usopp's cheeks were red and swollen, and his voice was lisp. He would rather not accept such teaching. Is this how all pirates raise their children? Yamato was a little surprised. They don't care about them from a young age. In comparison, Kaido taught her a lot. Most pirates don't have children, but Usopp is a rare case, Robin said. Little Luffy, we're in a hurry this time, try my cooking next time. Lucky Lou said with a smile, let's go. Mengshita made a few gestures in front of Chopper, squeaked a few times, and then jumped onto Bunker Punch's back. Chopper, what is it saying? Brook asked curiously. He said that we are both officers of the 4 emperors, and we can spar with each other sometime in the future. Chopper said embarrassedly, I didn't expect that I am also an officer of the Four Emperors now. I wonder if the people in my hometown, especially Dr. Doriel, know about this. You should have shown your face in the live broadcast just now, maybe people back home could have seen it. Frankie said, it's too late now. Huh, why didn't I think of that? Chopper was immediately annoyed. Luffy, the Blackbeard pirates have been dealt with. Should we waste time here? Zoro asked. He didn't want to stay here any longer. You only know how to cherish some things after you lose them. Today, my hands are shaking. Today, my heart aches. Why is this happening? Chu Shui, I really miss you. A ghost aura slowly emanated from Zoro. Wow, green algae head, what are you doing? Sanji was startled. I want to kill someone. Zoro said coldly. You're like your wife has been taken away by someone else. But speaking of wives. Sanji was confused, why does it feel so familiar? It's like I've had this before. And he always felt that someone was secretly watching him, but he couldn't find out who it was. Well, it might be your illusion. Haha, how come you have a wife? Nami said. Then Miss Nami, would you please consider it? Sanji immediately put his wife's affairs behind him. Go to hell, Zeus, teach him a lesson. Nami ordered. In a mirror, the scene of Sanji being charred by electricity was being shown. Aren't you going to give his memory back to him, Pudding? Brûlé also knew that Pudding had extracted Sanji's memory. No, he has his own dream to realize. Pudding shook his head, I can't get involved. It's so complicated. What a pity, I've never been in love. Brûlé didn't understand why two people who obviously had feelings for each other had to end up like this. At this time Luffy also noticed Zoro's abnormality and was about to ask what happened when a man in a black robe appeared beside him. Uncle, what can I do for you? Luffy asked in confusion. He is the leader of the Revolutionary Army, Dragon. Robin said, he is also your father. Really? This is the first time I see my father. Luffy looked at the dragon, so ugly. You little brat. Long punched Luffy on the head. Is this how you talk to your father? Your temper is very similar to Grandpa's. Luffy covered his head, how can you hit someone the first time you meet? Yamato discovered an even more outrageous father and son pair. Does the outside world allow children to grow up freely on their own? Compared to them, is Kaido still a competent father? It's the second time. If he hadn't saved you in Logue Town, your playing house journey would have ended before it even began. Buggy walked over. Logue Town, I remember now. Luffy suddenly realized, thank you, uncle. Oh no, it's father. Quote. Long found that he didn't know how to communicate with Luffy. The scene was not as he had imagined, and Luffy acted very indifferent. Then I'll leave too. The Revolutionary Army still has a lot of things to deal with. Long said. Luffy, your grandfather has always wanted you to be a Marine, but I know you won't be able to stay there with your personality. I'm not a good father, but at least I can let you do what you want to do. After saying these words, a strong wind suddenly arose, and the dragon took Ivankov away riding the strong wind. So handsome. Luffy looked at Long Yufeng's departing figure with shining eyes. It was much better than Moonwalk or something. It looks like everyone is very busy. I was thinking of throwing a party to reward them, Buggy said. Banquet. In this place. Luffy looked at the burnt cake island. The environment is too bad. Besides, there's nothing to eat. Eating isn't a problem, Smoothie, use your ability to squeeze out some juice first, Buggy instructed. But there is nothing here anymore. Do we have to squeeze juice out of the soil? Smoothie asked doubtfully. Give it a try. This is not ordinary land, but a cake island made of food. Smoothie tried to squeeze out some dark brown liquid using the soil of Cake Island. She tasted it and said, it's sweet and a little pungent. It tastes strange, but it's delicious. Buggy took a little and tasted it. It tasted like cola, but better than any cola he had drunk before. It felt like an explosion in his mouth. Could this be the legendary Nuka-Cola? Thinking of this, Buggy tapped the area covered with ice crystals. Kuzan, come out and help me cool my drink. Chapter 89. I want to make this world more interesting. The ice crystals on the ground grew upwards to form a human-shaped ice sculpture, which then took on the appearance of Aokiji. Aokiji waved his hands and created a bunch of ice crystal glasses to hold the Nuka-Cola squeezed out by Smoothie. How do you know I didn't leave? Buggy picked up a cup of Coke and drank it all in one gulp. Coke without ice really has no soul. You haven't answered my question yet. Aokiji said. Where else can you go if not here? Back to the marine. You can't accept Akainu's style of doing things at all. Actually, Buggy just asked casually. After all, Aokiji had nowhere to go for the time being. I left the Marines to become stronger. It has nothing to do with anything else. In fact, the reason why Aokiji left Marine was not only because he wanted to kill Blackbeard, but also because he had different ideas from Akainu. As moderates in the Marines, Aokiji, Fujitora, Smoker and others act in a style very different from that of hardliners like Akainu. Aokiji brought out his previous explanation, but found Buggy looking at him in confusion. Do you think I'm a fool? Even Blackbeard doesn't believe this. Ah la la la, is my acting so bad? Aokiji didn't think Blackbeard had discovered anything unusual. If Buggy and his men hadn't suddenly come out and wiped out the Blackbeard pirates, he would still be lurking inside. You can't blend into a gang of villains just by having a cold face. You lack the temperament of Blackbeard and his gang. Cunning, cruel, and indifferent to life, this is the impression given by the Blackbeard pirates. As for Aokiji, he seemed out of place next to them, like an ice sculpture, with only indifference. You have nowhere to go anyway, why don't you join us? Buggy asked. Aokiji's ability has other uses besides being used as a refrigerator. What exactly do you want to do? Conquer the world? Aokiji asked. He also heard what Buggy said just now. As a pirate, he wanted to wipe out pirates. It was a betrayal of his class. It's too easy to conquer the world. I want to change the world and make it more interesting, said Buggy. If Buggy wants to conquer the world, he just needs to blast his way through it. Give him some time, rub a few big Ivans with your hands, and use the mirror fruit to transport them to the Holy Land of Mariajoy, and then the Holy Land of Mariajoy can be sent to heaven. But what you will get afterwards is only a devastated world, and it will take more time to develop again. What is this interesting world you're talking about? Aokiji asked. Wait a minute, let me find a fixed venue first, and then we can talk in detail. We will have to wait here for a while. Buggy said. Many people on Cake Island were sold as slaves. Buggy planned to wait here for them to be released, and to see if there were any stubborn guys who dared not release them. At this time, all the people on Cake Island had gathered together, and it was not good to stand in the bare wilderness. Lao Sha, it's up to you. Don't call so many people next time. This battle is not even a warm-up. Crocodile came over with great joy, but in the end he only got half of the King of Evil government, and he felt a little unhappy. He put his hands on the ground with a cold face. If we want to fix the location, we need to put in some effort. A large amount of quicksand appeared, shrouding everyone in shadow, and then the quicksand slowly turned into a magnificent hall, and finally began to be reinforced. Candlelight Wax Museum. Mr. 3 saw that the hall was a little dark, so he threw out large amounts of wax liquid, which turned into various wax statues and artworks. There were candles burning on the top, illuminating the hall. Wow, this is really cool. Luffy, Chopper, and Usopp exclaimed together. The atmosphere is still lacking. Kuzan, let's get some ice crystal decorations. Buggy found that the light was still a bit dull. Are we familiar with each other? We were enemies before. Aokiji was speechless. It was the first time he saw devil fruit being used in this way. Can he do such delicate operations? Crocodile lit a cigar on a candle statue. Ice thorn spear. Hundreds of ice spears were inserted into various places in the hall, and then ice flowers bloomed on the spears. The candlelight shines through the ice crystals, refracting 7 colors of light, making the hall look like a dream world. You're still far from perfect in the use of the Logia fruit, crocodile. Aokiji said. How can melting ice compare to an eternal building? Crocodile sneered. Okay, you can go and rest now. Buggy said to Luffy and the others, Katakuri, prepare some food for them. Can we have more of this cola? Frankie drank a glass of Nuka-Cola. This stuff must be strong enough as fuel. Hey, Iron Lump, don't be ungrateful. Smoothie glared at Frankie. This is juice, not fuel. Make him some, but you'd better experiment on a small scale first. Buggy doesn't know if this Nuka-Cola will explode if used as fuel. It is essentially something made from the juice fruit. What if it has other properties? One of the three great generals has actually become a juicer. Smoothie was full of resentment, but when he thought about how Buggy killed Blackbeard, he decided to just bear it. Frankie excitedly took 2 barrels of Nuka-Cola and went back to do the experiment. Aokiji was still struggling with the question from before, what do you want the world to be like? Luffy, who originally wanted to go out for a feast, also became interested. Yeah, what is an interesting world? First of all, do you think the world is normal now? Buggy asked. That's normal, Luffy said. I think the world right now is quite interesting. Buggy ignored him and continued, the development of this world is too distorted. On the one hand, military biochemical robots, lasers, tanks and other things have appeared. On the other hand, civilian products are very backward. Some people have never left their islands in their entire lives and have no idea what the outside world is like. In fact, it is not that abnormal, and the blue planet is similar. Some countries have explored space, and some countries are still living a primitive tribal life. Buggy was fortunate enough to come from a country that explored space, so he couldn't stand the backwardness of the pirates' world. Even if he had power, he still missed the internet, games, and all kinds of weird novels. But the backward pirates' world doesn't provide these things, so Buggy has to do it himself. Because of the selfish desires of the celestial dragons, the world has been torn apart. I want to reunite the world. Human wisdom should not be wasted on survival and war, but should be used to make the world more interesting. How about it, Kuzan, do you want to help me? Chapter 90. The difference between Aokiji and Akainu. Fortunately, Kuina is not a dual sword style. Ah, this is really, unifying the entire world, you really have the guts to think about it. Aokiji didn't expect to hear such words from one of the pirates. If this were someone else's idea, Aokiji would just sneer. But Buggy is different, because he does have that power. The hall was packed with cadres. This was the power that could shake the world. To be honest, Buggy's ideas are somewhat similar to those of the Revolutionary Army. They both want to overthrow the rule of the celestial dragons and rebuild the world's order. But Aokiji is not optimistic about the Revolutionary Army because it is too weak. If the 4 emperors had not taken up most of the Marines' energy, the Revolutionary Army would not have been able to develop at all. Once Marine is free, he can completely wipe out the Revolutionary Army. Buggy is different. He has too many backbones under him, plus his messy relationships. He is connected with Shanks, Luffy, and the Revolutionary Army. There might even be some support from members of Roger Pirates. For a moment, Aokiji was moved. As a former Marine Admiral, he has seen too much darkness. Like Buggy said, celestial dragons are largely responsible for the world being the way it is. As long as the full amount of heavenly gold is paid, the world government does not care who the ruler of the country is or how the civilians live. Marine tries desperately to maintain order and justice, but can only put out fires here and there and cannot solve the root problems. It's not that Marine's top management is unaware of this problem, but they simply can't think of a solution, or they dare not think about it. Confronting the world government will only plunge the world into endless war. But if Buggy can really eradicate the celestial dragons, the world may go in a different direction. But this is also a bloody road. Aokiji can't even imagine how many people will die in the process of unifying the world. You want to prevent human wisdom from being wasted in survival and fighting, but you have to start a war that affects the entire world. Aokiji said, is it worth it? This is a necessary price to pay. Otherwise, what else can we pay? Will those vested interests just give up their rights? Buggy said. As long as we are strong enough, we can negotiate with them. Aokiji had just offered his opinion when he was interrupted by Buggy's sneer. So you moderates will never achieve anything. All you think about is compromise. You are kind but stupid. If you become the Marine Marshal, you will only make the Marine worse. Between Aokiji and Akainu, Buggy appreciates Akainu more. Akainu knows that justice requires sacrifice, and he will lead the way. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. He knew that compromise would not bring about understanding, but would only make the other party more aggressive and directly confront the five elders. You know what the cancer of the world is. It's not the pirates, but the celestial dragons. There are a lot of pirates, but I can kill them so that they dare not go out to sea. Then what? Will the world change? Buggy asked. No, Aokiji knew the nature of celestial dragons. Without pirates, they would just cut down the size of the marine and save money for their own enjoyment. But Aokiji still couldn't make up his mind. This time was different from joining the Blackbeard Pirates. He joined the Blackbeard Pirates just to betray. If you join the Buggy Pirates, it means you really want to change the world together. But can what Buggy said really be done? Aokiji couldn't accept the consequences of causing bloodshed in the world but not getting any good results in the end. Go to Wano Kuni, it's a test site for me to transform the world. Buggy knew it would be difficult to convince Aokiji because he was a marine and his ideas were different from those of the pirates. If you can't accept Wano Kuni's policies, just leave. If you plan to join us, be prepared to have blood on your hands, said Buggy. I need like-minded companions, not those who are indecisive and fussy. I understand. I'll go to Wano Kuni and give you an answer. Aokiji made up his mind. What you guys are saying is so complicated, I can't understand any of it. But if you want to go to Wano Kuni, I'll come with you, Luffy said. What are you doing there? Buggy asked. See if you've kept your promise and made sure everyone has a meal. Luffy swallowed the food in his hand. I don't understand the rest, but as long as everyone is well fed, then it's a good job. Go ahead. Denjiro and the others are on the boat too. Let them take you back to Wano Kuni so you'll have a guide. Since there were no hostages on Cake Island, Buggy directly carried out a nuclear explosion to wipe out the area, leaving Denjiro and his men with no chance to fight at all. They're still alive. I thought you killed them like Peach. Luffy said. This guy is similar to Roger. He cares a lot about his partners, but he doesn't care about other things. It seems that Momonosuke and the 9 red scabbards are not included in Luffy's partners. Buggy suspected that only Law was included as a partner by Luffy, while Kid was not treated this way. I guess Kid's health lock will be ineffective. Luffy and the others are leaving Cake Island, so naturally Law and Kid won't stay either. Before they left, Hawkeye gave Shiryu's sword, famous sword, Thunderstorm, to Zoro, who was full of ghostly aura. Zoro drew out the thunderstorm, and a bloody smell immediately spread out. This was the dying request of a swordsman. He didn't want this weapon to be buried. Hawkeye gave a rare explanation. A demon sword. Unlike the gentle autumn water, Thunderstorm is a strange demon sword. Zoro didn't care about the strange aura of the thunderstorm, his will was enough to control this demon sword. But I still miss Chu Shui very much. The blade of Lei Yu's blade is relatively long. Zoro tried holding it in his mouth and found it a little uncomfortable. The three-sword style is really weird. Buggy saw this scene. Can the knife in the mouth really play a role in combat? Perhaps this is the persistence of a swordsman. Although Hawkeye was somewhat confused about the three-sword style, it was normal for a swordsman to have some quirks. Fortunately, Kuina doesn't use 2 swords, otherwise Zoro would have to use 4 swords. Buggy said. That's not easy unless he has a well-developed sphincter. Of course, the world of the strong is difficult to understand. The bald guy next door can perform serious fart, and the one with a strong magnetic field has the ultimate bladder sword, a killing move that goes against common sense. Zoro might also be able to master the sphincter 4 swords style. Can you please say less? Hawkeye couldn't bear the thought of that scene. Tisk, if it works, this is a style that can attack both physically and mentally. Hawkeye didn't want to discuss it any further, if it wasn't for the fact that the slash attack was useless against Buggy. Okay, it's time for us to get down to business. We'll start clearing out the pirates within our sphere of influence in 3 days, Buggy said. Before that, I need someone to go to the Dark Drum Kingdom and kidnap King Wapol there. Chapter 91. The Elephant Master's Request for Help, Fat Tiger Effect. Joey boy, help me. On the way to Wano Kuni, Luffy suddenly heard a voice. Huh, Luffy suddenly spoke, attracting the attention of everyone on the boat. What's wrong, Luffy? Nami asked. It seems to be the sound I heard before, that huge elephant. Luffy gestured and said, it's calling for help. The huge elephant, is it the Elephant Master? Denjiro was so impressed by it that he almost destroyed Wano Kuni's existence. He told the people on the boat what the Elephant Master had done, causing them to exclaim in amazement. Kazuki Hiyori quickly apologized. Brother was too confused, I'm sorry. Help me, drive away that little bug, my body feels strange. The Elephant Master's voice continued to be heard, making Luffy irritated. Stop making so much noise. Speed up and get away from this sea, Luffy said. Don't care about the Elephant Master anymore. Nami asked curiously. This is not like Luffy's style. It's looking for Joy Boy for help. It has nothing to do with us. Luffy said, it's giving me a headache to stay here and make noise. No problem, I'll go try Nuka-Cola's acceleration ability. Frankie excitedly went to the power room to prepare. Let's go check it out too. Usopp and Chopper followed immediately. You are not allowed to drink it secretly, it is fuel. Soon, Thousand Sunny emitted a long tail flame and rushed towards Wano Kuni like an arrow. In the corner of the cabin, Aokiji was sitting quietly. On the way, he also listened to Denjiro talk about the changes in Wano Kuni. Even though they were once Buggy's enemies, Denjiro and the others admitted that Wano Kuni had indeed become better than before. But can this model really be promoted? It is not difficult to redistribute wealth in a rough manner. It is more difficult to let demon fruit power do the work. The strong are all a little arrogant. Even the most useless demon fruit power can live a comfortable life by relying on their strength. Will they really be obedient and work hard? Buggy has a group of followers who worship him fanatically, so maybe he can do that. Even so, Aokiji could hear the resistance that Wano Kuni encountered in his reforms, but of course these resistances were wiped out by Buggy with his absolute strength. Streetlight Square. If Buggy unified the world, how many people would he kill? Hey, Aokiji, will you come with us when we get to Wano Kuni? Luffy asked. He wanted to go see Xiaoyu. He heard from Jiro that Xiaoyu was living with that Mame and they were doing well. No, I'll go around Wano Kuni by myself, said Aokiji. I heard that if you don't work there you won't get any food. Don't starve to death there, ha ha ha. You should just worry about yourselves. Aokiji said. With his strength, is it possible that he can't find food in Wano Kuni? We have Kiku, and she promised to take care of our food and drinks. Luffy said, pointing at Kikunojo next to him. Don't worry, my daughter's reward is still very generous. Kikunosuke said with a smile. Several of them went out to sea, and although they did not participate in the battle, they did receive a lot of allowances. Master Zoro, where is my father's Yama? Kazuki Hiyori silently observed Zoro for a long time and finally asked this question. She found that Zoro had a new weapon and Yanmo was nowhere to be seen. Broken, said Zoro. That shouldn't be the case. That's a sword that can conquer even hell. Kazuki Hiyori exclaimed. Can you tell me why Chu Shui ended up in Buggy's hands? Isn't it your Wano Kuni's national treasure? Zoro was more concerned about Chu Shui. Respect and meaning do not need to be placed on dead things. It is enough for them to exist in thoughts and memories. What I lack is a weapon. Kazuki Hiyori said. After saying this, Buggy took the Shisui away and beat up Onimaru. Is it that simple? Zoro was stunned. If you had thought of this earlier, why would you have taken Chu Shui back? Actually, it's because Buggy is stronger and a bad guy, so we can't resist him. Kazuki Hiyori said, and you, Zoro-sama, are a good person. Should I suffer because I'm a good person? Zoro, who was given the nice guy card, felt helpless. This is called the fat tiger effect. Kazuki Hiyori took out a small notebook. When a good person does a bad thing, he will be overly criticized, while when a bad person does a good thing, he will be extremely praised, and even his past bad deeds will be ignored. I'm very sorry, Master Zoro, good people just have to suffer some losses. Kazuki Hiyori bowed. That sounds reasonable, but who is Fat Tiger? Luffy immediately became interested. I don't know. This is what Buggy said. Kazuki Hiyori put the little notebook away. So he never calls himself a good person, and he doesn't care about other people's evaluation of him. Pirates aren't good people, Luffy said. Huh, but I think you are all good people. Kazuki Hiyori said. Ha, we are just a group of passers-by to Wano Kuni, you may have misunderstood. Luffy said carelessly, real good people should be like that. Luffy pointed at Aokiji. Ms. Hiyori, I'm different from them. I'm a good person. Sanji came up. Zeus, leave him alone and stop being a fangirl here. Nami took out the weather stick and released Zeus. It's ironic, but this is reality. Aokiji stood up. I'm not a good person. Being a good person requires a lot of things to bear. When Aokiji was a Marine Admiral, he rarely even wore the justice coat, because the word justice was too heavy. Let's say goodbye now. I want to go to Wano Kuni alone. Aokiji said. He walked out of the cabin, and when he passed by Robin, Robin suddenly asked, if you were given another chance, would you kill Saul again? I don't know. Aokiji said. Buggy is right, I am a fussy person. If you want to seek revenge on me, now is your chance. My enemy is not you, but the world government. Robin said, I should thank you for letting me go. Aokiji looked at Robin in surprise. Your idea is very dangerous. Don't worry, it's just an idea. My goal is to find the historical text. Aokiji didn't believe it at all. He saw the flames of revenge in Robin. He seemed to see the ghosts of Ohara looking at him in the flames, including Saul. My friend, the little girl you protected has grown into a remarkable person. Live well, this is what Saul wants to see. Aokiji said and flew away from Thousand Sunny. I will live well, and one day, the holy land of Mariajoy will burn like Ohara. Chapter 92 Doflamingo's Plan. The three generals gather together. On the route to Cake Island, several world government ships are breaking through the waves. Doflamingo, this is your chance to redeem yourself, don't do anything unnecessary. The voice of the five elders came from the bald Den Den Mushi. Fu, don't worry, I know what to do. I will definitely hand over all the slaves to them. Doflamingo hung up the Den Den Mushi and showed a playful smile. You will be free soon, third prince of Flipstar. Behind him was a huge fish tank with a fat mermaid in it. What are you going to do, Doflamingo? Rollover Star stared at Doflamingo fiercely. It means exactly what it says. I'll take you to a good place. I wonder if they like eating fish. Doflamingo lay on the sofa and looked up at the ceiling of the cabin. We, the Fishmen Island, are also a member state of the world government. Why are you treating us like this? The Rollover Star roared. Fu, killing each other is human nature. You mermaids don't even understand this, and you still want to move to the ground so that humans and mermaids can coexist. It's really ridiculous. Doflamingo uttered a harsh laugh. Humans are cruel to their own kind, so how can they coexist peacefully with mermaids? You are not allowed to laugh at your mother's dream. The overturned star hammered the fish tank hard, making a dong dong sound. What a naive dream. Why are there so many stupid rulers? But without these idiots, the world would be a lot less fun. Those 5 idiots clearly have the ability to solve all of this, but they let the situation continue to deteriorate. What were they planning? Celestial dragons, national treasure, can be activated by consuming some lifespan. There must be an immortal among the celestial dragons, so why not activate it? Doflamingo doesn't know who the immortal in celestial dragons is, but it's probably not one of the 5 elders. He could sense the 5 elders' desire for the op-op fruit, but they only wanted to take the op-op fruit back and had no intention of performing the immortality surgery. Why was that? Doflamingo fell into deep thought, and was thinking about his next plan. The Blackbeard pirates have been destroyed, and the only way to cause a big dispute is to provoke a fight between the Buggy pirates and the world government. Now the world government has chosen to back down for some reason and can only rely on Buggy the Clown to provoke conflict. But when he thought of Buggy the Clown, Doflamingo felt a headache. He had no idea what that guy was thinking. It was even possible that he would kill him as soon as they met. But Doflamingo still chose to come and return the slave, and by the way, gave Buggy a gift, which was the rollover star in the fish tank. The world government not only provoked civil unrest in Alabasta, but also captured the 3 princes of Mermaid Island with the help of the Alabasta royal family. This is also the main reason that triggered the struggle between the Fishmen Island and Alabasta. Originally, the flip star was to be given to the celestial dragons as a slave, but Doflamingo intercepted it after he came to power. Since the 5 elders wanted to return all the slaves, Doflamingo sent the rollover star as well. If he were Buggy the Clown, he would definitely not miss this opportunity. With this hostage, maybe they could seize the opportunity to occupy Mermaid Island and then plan Alabasta. This is the only way to intensify conflicts. Only when the world is in chaos will it be interesting. But when Doflamingo arrived at Cake Island, he found that his idea was wrong again, because Buggy the Clown was not on the island. Only Katakuri is here waiting to receive these slaves. Where's Buggy the Clown? Doflamingo's voice was trembling. We're going to wipe out the pirates. The 3 days have passed. No more pirates will be allowed in the nearby waters, unless they become sea merchants and fly this flag. Katakuri pulled out a mushroom flag. Would you like one? All those captured by Blackbeard were sent back by the world government, and Katakuri was in a good mood. It would be a bit troublesome if they were scattered, but this saves a lot of effort. What use does Lousy have for this thing? As the 4 emperors, why does Buggy have to go and destroy the pirates himself? He has so many subordinates to command. At this point, Doflamingo could only send the unlucky star away with hatred. This mermaid is a little special. With someone of CP0 around, Doflamingo could only give Katakuri some hints, hoping that he would understand. To his disappointment, Katakuri didn't understand what he meant at all. It's quite special. Are there such fat mermaids in Wonguo? Katakuri said doubtfully, and then directly opened the chains on the carnival star. You are free. You can choose to live freely in the world, or return to your hometown. Mermaid Island was protected by the Bigmom pirates for a period of time, and Cartwheel knew Katakuri, the second in command of the Bigmom pirates. Seeing Katakuri's gentle attitude, he felt a little confused. He had been captured for some time and had no idea what was happening in the outside world. This B******************. D. Doflamingo saw Katakuri release the rolling star easily and knew that his plan had failed again. Let's go. He didn't want to stay here any longer. Katakuri ignored Doflamingo. Since the captives on Cake Island had returned, he had other things to do. Smoothie, you handle things here. I'm going to go out for a while. Katakuri said. Are we going to find Perospero, the traitor? Smoothie asked. He is not a traitor, he just chose a different path. But I must bring Monder back. Captain Buggy needs his abilities. When the pirates split, Monder chose to follow Perospero and rebuild the pirates. Katakuri didn't know why Buggy cared so much about Monder, but since it was Buggy's order, he chose to obey. What's the use of that thing other than being a warehouse? Smoothie was a little dissatisfied with Buggy's emphasis on Monder. Obviously, her strength was stronger, but Buggy never regarded her as a powerful fighting force. What on earth happened? Cracker, the last of the 3 generals, was captured in the Battle of Cake Island and had just been rescued. The Bigmom pirates no longer exist, and now we have joined the Buggy pirates. Of course, you have the freedom to choose, Katakuri said. Think it over carefully. After you join, maybe your task will be to make cookies all the time. Smoothie recalled the bad memories. Her hands were sore and weak from the first time she squeezed juice. Is that guy very powerful? Katakuri, Cracker asked. Much stronger than his mother. I still haven't seen the limit of Captain Buggy's strength. Katakuri said. That's great, I'll join. Cracker said happily. For him who is afraid of pain, it is very satisfying for him to make cookies without fighting. Smoothie, tell him the rules he should follow from now on. I'm going out to look for Paraspero. Katakuri ordered. The entire Buggy Pirates group has basically gone out to clear out the pirates, hoping that Paraspero will not be active in the nearby waters. If you don't obey orders, you will die. Paraspero shouldn't be so stupid. Chapter 93 Brother Gia, are you going to take me home? Excuse me. After Dipper found that Katakuri left, no one paid any attention to him. What's the matter? Smoothie asked impatiently, didn't I say you were free? Many races were forced to remain in the 10,000 countries by her mother. Now that they are free, it is very difficult to count them. Smoothie wished they could leave Wonguo, otherwise it would be too troublesome to manage them. Happiness came too suddenly, and Fandoxing couldn't accept it for a while. And how would he get back? Would he have to swim all the way back to Mermaid Island? Even though he is Poseidon's older brother, the Sea Kings won't give him that face and will have to eat him anyway. I can't go home, Fandoxing said honestly. You have no home, or were you kicked out because you can eat? Smoothie misunderstood and looked at his body shape. If you want to stay here, you need to work. We don't keep idle fish here. Work. Fandoxing felt that this word was very unfamiliar. He had never come across it since he was born. You haven't worked before, have you? Smoothie, who had just experienced work a few days ago, said exaggeratedly, how did you grow so big? As the Prince of Mermaid Island, of course he was taken care of when he was growing up. I have the strength. Fandoxing felt that he was still quite capable of fighting. He was greeted with a burst of laughter. You're killing me with laughter. Do you have any misunderstanding about strength? Smoothie lifted up the tipping star. What can you do? Water splash. Fandoing dared not speak out. This man was one of the 3 generals of the Bigmom pirates. He was definitely no match for him. He turned his gaze to Cracker. At this time, Cracker is surrounding himself with cookies and turning into a cookie warrior. What are you looking at me for? Cracker asked. What's the matter? It's okay. Flipstar lowered his head quickly. He recognized Cracker's appearance. He was another 3-star general. I can fight, but it's useless. Smoothie put down the tipping star. Cracker, give him some biscuits. It's enough for a day. If you have a good background, you can go to Cake Island and find a job. You won't starve to death. If all else fails, go fishing. We mermaids don't eat fish, they are our companions. We only eat some fruits and algae on the seabed. Tipping Star explained weakly. That's because you've never been hungry. Cracker made him a shark-shaped cookie and left with Smoothie. Tiltstar heard the two discussing on the way. Do I need a job, too? Of course, if you want to lie down, that's fine. Just open a cookie shop. You won't starve to death anyway. But it will be like this for the rest of your life. Are you willing? Of course I am unwilling. Then take over my job so I can go out and wipe out the pirates. If we are a few days late, they will probably be all killed. When Tipping Star saw them leaving, he took a bite of the biscuit and found that it tasted quite good. It looks like there is no danger here, so let's stay here for a while. But I don't know how to contact Mermaid Island. Flipping Star walked cautiously into the depths of Cake Island, which was a terrifying place according to the legend of Mermaid Island. When Charlotte Linlin ruled this place, it was said that some mermen were taken away by her to borrow her seeds, and then returned as dried fish. Instead of seeing the rumored scene of food all over the ground, there were black buildings rising from the ground, like a magnificent city. The city was quite lively, and Fandoxing saw all kinds of races. Most of them, like me, seemed confused, not knowing what to do, and walking around aimlessly in the city. Fandoxing tried to find a job in some shops, but he was stumped by the first question they asked. What would you do? Ah, fighting. What we lack the least is people who can fight. Does dancing count? Do you think anyone would watch a pufferfish dance? I'm a sunfish, not a fathead. That's about the same for us. Fandoing was a little depressed after encountering repeated setbacks. As the third prince of Mermaid Island, he couldn't even find a job. Until he felt the breath of his own kind. It was a fishman. Not a mixed-blood fishman like Katakuri, but a pure-blooded one. That's great. As long as I reveal my identity as the third prince of Mermaid Island, I will definitely get help. The fishman was very burly. Tiltstar stepped forward and patted him on the shoulder. Hey, fellow, are you looking for a job too? I'm the third one from Mermaid Island. Jack turned around and looked at the mermaid who greeted him. Do we know each other? Jack. Tiltstar looked at the wanted poster and recognized the fishman as Jack the Drow from the Beast's Pirates. No, I recognize the wrong person. What on earth is this place? It's so scary. Then why are you looking for me? What did you say you were from Mermaid Island? Jack asked. Three idiots. Tiggering Star quickly smiled foolishly. I'm very famous on Mermaid Island. Indeed, such ugly mermaids are rare. Jack nodded. Mermaids are generally very handsome, and this guy must have suffered a lot of discrimination for looking like this. Then I'll take my leave. Fandoxing wanted to stay away from this vicious man. Wait a minute. Jack suddenly stopped Tumbling Star. Your home is on the Fishman Island, right? Do you want to go home? Of course I did, but just go home if you want. Jack carried the tipping star on his shoulders. I'll help you. Gia, bro, don't do it. Fandoxing has never seen anyone help others like this. Jack carried him and found Smoothie who had just left. I want to send my brother home. Get me a boat. Didn't Captain Buggy forbid you to go out to sea? Smoothie felt a little headache. And where did your brother come from? That's him. Jack put down the tipping star. Isn't this the merman from before? Merman and merman are two different species, right? When did he become your brother? Smoothie still has some impression of the tipping star. Mercy and merman can intermarry. Don't you find that our temperaments are very similar? Jack said. Now that you mention it, they do look alike. Smoothie noticed that both of them looked silly. He's a fool. His family must be very worried after he's been away from Mermaid Island for so long. Jack said, I need a boat to take him back. Okay, but don't make any trouble. The status of both parties is similar, and Smoothie can't refute it. It's just sending a Murloc home. Nothing should go wrong. We only have a small boat now, and the crew is very tight. No need for crew, the mermaids can command large fish to help tow the boat, said Jack. Can a fool do it? Smoothie looked at the tipping star. I can do it. With the hope of returning home, Tipping Star was full of motivation. I can summon whales to tow the boat. With Jack, he is no longer afraid of those large Sea King's creatures. Jack got the ship approval from Smoothie as he wished, and headed towards the port with the Tipping Star. By the way, how did he come back? Smoothie suddenly remembered something. Never mind, it's not important, he should have a way. Head in that direction. On the boat, Jack pointed in a direction. But that's not the direction of Mermaid Island, said Doing. Of course I know. Let's go find some pirates to relieve my heat first. My two swords are thirsty for fire. Chapter 94. 38 That year, in Logue Town, running around like a minion. On the sea, a pirate ship was fleeing in a hurry. Captain, we can't run away. What should we do? Surrender. The crew members were ready to take off their pants. I want to, but the other side won't accept it. The captain of the Baguette Pirates, Ryder, yelled, run to the Marine's territory, everything should be fine there. The Marine won't let us go either. The crew member was a little confused. Is it better to be locked up and impelled down by the Marine, or to be killed by the guy chasing you? Reed asked. Of course he was locked up and impelled down. The crew members understood immediately. Then run. Reed cursed. There is a Marine warship ahead. Captain, we are saved. The crew suddenly made a discovery. Hurry, hang up the white flag and move over there. Reed was overjoyed. Many pirates took off their pants at the same time. They were all white underwear, which could be used directly as a white flag. You won't need so many. Reed shouted angrily, one side is enough. Have you chased him to Marine's territory? On the Baikudoku, Buggy looked at the Marine warships that appeared in front of him and said, these guys can really run. They seem to be running very fast. Mr. 3 said, should we continue chasing them? Of course, it's just right to make them into landmarks. Buggy said. Do you want to eliminate the Marine as well? Crocodile sneered. Let me see, it seems to be someone I know. Buggy saw a white-haired man with a cigarette in his mouth on the Marine warship. It's Smoker, said Alvida. Is that the guy who told the Marine that Vice Admiral defeated me? Crocodile looked at Smoker. It's really annoying. At least find a stronger person. After Luffy defeated Crocodile, the world government, in order to cover up the fact, claimed that it was Smoker who defeated him. His record is so impressive that no one will care about you, Lao Sha. I was 38 that year, running around in Logue Town like a minion. Smoker was in high spirits, playing with the two future 4 emperors in the smoke. Now that they meet again, Smoker himself has become the minion. Although his promotion speed is not slow, he is now Marine Vice Admiral. But compared to the others in Logue Town, Smoker's improvement in strength is like standing still. Could it be that there was a backlash? One is the destined protagonist, and the other is the conqueror's luck holder. Smoker has offended both of them at once. It is not easy for him to live such a comfortable life. Smoker Vice Admiral, that's 4 emperors, Clown Buggy's ship. The Marine on the warship also discovered the Baikutop and exclaimed in surprise. I know. Smoker clenched his teeth. He was more familiar with the Baikudorp and had once chased them all over the world. What should we do, Smoker? Asked Tashigi on the side. What else can we do? Get ready to fight. Even if we can't win, we can't lose Marine's momentum. Smoker said loudly. The Marine under his command barely perked up. They may not be coming for us. Tashigi looked at the pirate ship approaching with a white flag. I remember Buggy said in the last live broadcast that he wanted to wipe out the pirates. Do you want to? This is our territory, not his sphere of influence. Smoker knew this, of course. Now that the pirates are here, they should be judged by the Marine. Well, now that you've made your decision. Tashigi drew out his long sword. I'll capture those pirates first. In the end, there was no need to capture him. All the pirates from the Baguette Pirates raised their hands and actively cooperated with the Marine's capture. You seem to have a lot of experience in surrendering. It was the first time Tashigi had seen pirates so cooperative. Sir, please keep us safe. By the way, we are from the same hometown as Marine Admiral Aramaki. With his hands raised high, Reed was still trying to get close to Smoker. When you have time, you can come to our country. We are known as the country of romance. That's enough. Smoker hit Reed directly. What's going on? Ryder shuddered. The Buggy Pirates are going crazy, killing pirates everywhere. By the time we realized something was wrong and wanted to run away, it was already too late. Fortunately, we met you. So you, as a pirates, seek asylum from the Marine. Smoker never thought that such a ridiculous thing would happen. Then we can't just wait to die. You haven't seen that kind of scene. Reed was about to describe it, but he found that Smoker was looking into the distance. The Baikutop was approaching slowly. Hey, isn't this Smoker? Long time no see. Buggy took the initiative to greet Smoker. The Marines on the warship were all stunned. Did you hear that? 4 Emperors. Buggy actually took the initiative to greet Smoker Vice Admiral. I heard that. Smoker Vice Admiral actually has such a big face. He is the 4 Emperors. Shut up, Smoker shouted. Buggy the Clown, you've crossed the line. This is not your sphere of influence, said Smoker. Oh, so what? Said Buggy. You gonna hit me? Smoker clenched his weapon, 10 hands. This guy is so annoying. What exactly do you want to do? Smoker asked. Catch them. Buggy pointed at the Baguette Pirates. These guys are committing robbery in my territory. We didn't. Ryder said quickly. There's no point in lying. Buggy snapped his fingers. Pudding, go extract his memory. Wait a minute. Smoker was about to stop him when a golden hook appeared at his throat. How dare you claim that you have defeated me? Crocodile appeared behind Smoker. Damn it. Smoker turned into white smoke, trying to escape from Crocodile's control. Crocodile sneered and turned into yellow sand, tangling with the smoke. Tashigi tried to step forward to help, but a flash of sword stopped her. Little girl, long time no see. Kabaji said with a smile, let me, the Overlord Sword Demon Kabaji, test whether you have grown up. Are you the unicycle guy? Tashigi recognized Kabaji. Where's your unicycle? Humph, I left it in the old times. There is no wheelbarrow in the new times that can carry me. Kabaji rarely met an opponent of equal strength. Let me see how good your swordsmanship is. The two men fought with swords, and Pudding was ready to extract Reed's memory. Ryder wanted to resist, but Buggy released Conqueror's Haki, pinning him down and making him unable to move. Pudding pulled a roll of film directly into his head. It was a picture of the Baguette Pirates looting an island, with words from Ryder written on it. Beat the men half to death and shave the women's heads. Let these guys know how powerful we, the Baguette Pirates, are. Ha 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 ha. The evidence is solid, we can start now. Chapter 95, Bounty on Marine, Golden Route. Lao Sha, stop playing and get down to business. Unlike other Logia fruit elementalizations, the white smoke and yellow sand did not conflict with each other, but were completely entangled together. Buggy is a little curious, what will the senses of a Logia user look like after he becomes an element? If the two of them suddenly regain their human form in this entangled state, would it become a state where you are in me and I am in you? Yellow sand flew out from the white smoke and gathered together to form a crocodile. His calmness was in stark contrast to the breathless Smoker. Your Logia fruit ability is too weak. Crocodile lit a cigar and said leisurely. Smoker pulled out a handful of cigars from his arm, stuffed them into his mouth, and took a few deep puffs to replenish his smoke. You have no taste, Crocodile said disdainfully, you lose the fun of smoking by doing this. He was about to start working when he noticed Buggy staring at Smoker thoughtfully. What's wrong? Crocodile rarely saw Buggy's expression like this. Logia users can transform themselves into elements, so there's no need to use cigar smoke to replenish it. Buggy said, I didn't realize Smoker was so sinister, artificially increasing the poison damage of his smoke. What poison damage? Crocodile didn't understand. You know that smoking is harmful to your health. If you smoke like this, the toxins in the smoke will be concentrated, and you may become a nicotine devil one day. If Magellan's poison takes effect instantly, Smoker's poisonous smoke kills people without being noticed. It seems that financial resources limit his ability to exert his strength. Don't worry about him and just work. Buggy said. Crocodile suddenly felt that the cigar in his mouth no longer smelled good. After thinking for a while, he took out the cigar and it turned into sand. It's better to quit smoking in the future. Salon roll. A dozen tornadoes swept up the pirates of the Baguette Pirates and flew them towards their pirate ship. Smoker tried to stop them, but Moria stopped him. Why, you wanna stay with those pirates forever? Stay together forever. What do you mean? Smoker didn't know what they wanted to do. Let me go, I'm a noble, you can't do this to me. Ryder, who was caught in the sand roll, begged for mercy loudly. It's rare to see nobles being pirates. Crocodile, put him down. Buggy said. Ryder thought he was saved, but Buggy said, nobles have their own way of dying. Idiot, Smoker cursed in his heart. Buggy dared to kill celestial dragons. Does he still care about the nobles of a small country? At this time, Crocodile had already activated the erosion cycle, and the pirates were drained of water by the sand and turned into mummies. The Dark Tower. The upper part of the pirates' ship of the Baguette Pirates group turned into sand, forming a tall black tower. On top of the tower is a tattered pirate's flag. The mummies of the pirates were inlaid on the tower like reliefs. But these reliefs look so hideous that they make people afraid. Mr. 3, since this guy is a noble, let him die as honorably as a king. Buggy said. Leave it to me, Captain Buggy. Mr. 3 threw a pile of wax in front of the tower, forming the shape of a torture device. Candle guillotine. He pushed the desperate Reed under the guillotine. Reed's constant struggle made Mr. 3 frown. Hey, you kicked me. As a noble, shouldn't you say sorry? Not only did Reed not say sorry, but he kept cursing. Hey, noble, Mr. 3 sneered and activated the guillotine. The wax guillotine covered with armament hockey slashed down. Just before Reed's head fell, Mr. 3 activated his ability, wax artwork. A thin layer of wax sealed everything, and Mr. 3 even left a wax figure of himself at the back. Captain Buggy, how did you do this time? Not bad, Moria, it's your turn. Buggy felt that they were becoming more and more proficient at their job. Shadowland. Moria injected some shadows into the Black Tower. The tower on the ship suddenly became gloomy and the surrounding air dropped several degrees. This warning sign is stronger than the previous ones. Buggy observed it for a moment. Let's leave it here as a boundary marker. Smoker finally understood why the Baguette Pirates were so eager to surrender. It would be better to spend the rest of their lives in Impel Down. How cruel. You could have just killed them, but why did you desecrate their bodies like this? Tashigi, who was fighting Kabaji, also saw this scene. Naive. Most pirates are bullies who only care about the weak and fear the strong. Otherwise, they wouldn't turn their knives against civilians. Cabbage said, only by being more vicious and evil than them can we make them afraid. Buggy, what do you guys want to do? Smoker couldn't understand Buggy's idea. What good will this do for you? Of course it's for the sake of order at sea. Buggy said, Kabaji, we're leaving. Okay. Kabaji kicked out several times in an instant, forcing Tashigi back and back to Buggy's side. Tashigi didn't expect that the so-called tyrant sword demon's kicking skills were more powerful than his sword skills. Smoker didn't expect that the Buggy Pirates would just leave and just let them go. He was ready to die in battle, so what was the point of maintaining order on the sea? Is this what pirates should say? Goodbye, Smoker. Please tell Akainu a message. There are too many pirates in your sea area. He is a useless marine marshal. Buggy led the group aboard the Baikudoku. Ask him if he needs our help in cleaning up the pirates. The price is very favorable. You are the biggest pirates yourself, why are you doing this? Smoker said loudly. Pirates. Marine. Who defines these things? Smoker, if I take over most of the world, does that mean that Marines are evil and pirates are righteous in the eyes of the world? Maybe the one who's wanted will be Marine. Buggy laughed, but your bounty is definitely not that high. In comparison, Tashigi-chan's bounty might be a bit higher. Huh, why? Tashigi didn't expect Buggy to like him more. Could it be that he is more talented than Smoker? Because your justice is greater than his. Buggy threw a piece of paper over. I want to open up a golden route on the sea. The real wealth is not in Raftel, but in the sea beneath our feet. Want to get rich? Stop being a marine and start a business on a ship. The era of pirates has ended, and the era of merchants has just begun. The Baikudoku slowly left, and Smoker picked up the paper and found that it was a promotional leaflet. The golden route is under development, and we sincerely invite talents from all walks of life to join us. No looting is allowed in our waters unless you are stronger than us. Wanokuni, specialties, famous swords, luxury goods, seastone, strategic goods, mysterious goods, undeveloped. Cake Island, specialties, Nuka-Cola, limited edition, special desserts. More island specialties are waiting to be developed. Chapter 96. This is just an ordinary alarm clock. Den Den Mushi. Did that B************** D really say that? Akainu pounded his fist on the desk. Is he teaching me how to do things? I don't know why he let us go. The Den Den Mushi on the desk was smoking a cigar, and he asked me to tell you something. Oh, there's still this kind of thing left. A piece of paper spit out from the fax Den Den Mushi nearby. Akainu picked it up, looked at it, and then threw it away. What a mess. I don't understand either. It seems like Buggy wants to attract merchants to his territory and make money. Den Den Mushi said, that guy even wants to offer a reward for Marine. What a fantasy. Does he have so many Baileys? If pirates can do business, why do they need businessmen? Akainu said disdainfully, He must have other purposes for doing this. Don't worry about the rest, Smoker. You should improve your strength. Although Akainu somewhat disdains Smoker's personality, he is considered outstanding among the younger generation of Marines. At least Piccolo is better than that loser. Then I'm hanging up, Marshal Sakazuki. Den Mushi blew out a smoke ring and hung up the phone. Kizaru picked up the note on the desk and took a look. When he saw the mysterious product to be developed by Wano-kuni, he couldn't help but glance at Xiao Snail on his shoulder. Sakazuki, you will suffer if you underestimate Buggy. He may just want to open up a trade route. If Buggy can produce a large number of Den Mushi to sell, this trade route may really become a golden route. Even if there were no products like Den Mushi, the sale of seastone would still attract a lot of attention, as no one would have too much of this strategic material. Wait, Buggy won't really want to put a bounty on Marine now that he has the money, right? Kizaru doesn't want his portrait to appear on the wanted poster, it's so troublesome. Damn it, why would Neo Marine go to Buggy? Said Kizaru. Ain's ability is the key to cultivating Den Mushi, but why would they, who hate the pirates the most, suddenly run to Wano-kuni? Borsalino, now is not the time to discuss Neo Marine. Akainu glared at Kizaru. You know nothing, Borsalino. You know nothing, Sakazuki. The two looked at each other and had the same thought. From now on, send all Marines out to capture pirates. Akainu thought for a moment and gave the order. Sakazuki, although it is our duty to fight against the pirates, you are helping Buggy the Clown by doing this. Kizaru didn't expect Akainu to do this. Once Buggy gets his maritime business started, Kizaru couldn't imagine how quickly he would accumulate wealth. You also know that this is our duty. Buggy is killing pirates on a large scale. If we do nothing, where is the face of Marine? Akainu said loudly. Although Impel Down is much emptier now, if we capture too many pirates in a short period of time, it will be overwhelmed. Kizaru retorted. Akainu's eyes flashed with a stern look. Pirates who have committed too many bad deeds will be executed on the spot to reduce the pressure on Impel Down. If Buggy the Clown can kill it, why can't I? You're becoming as extreme as Mr. Zephyr. Kizaru sighed. Once the shackles of killing are opened, it will be difficult to take them back. It's different. This is an extraordinary period. I will take all the responsibilities. Go and do your work, Borsalino. Akainu said in a deep voice, we must protect the glory of the Marine. Okay, I only have one request, keep an eye on Neo Marine and see if we can get them back to Marine. Kizaru couldn't help but speak in the end. I will take care of this matter. Borsalino, your mission is to capture the pirates, the more the better. Akainu kicked Kizaru out of the office. Akainu used the observation hockey to check the surroundings, and after finding that there was no one nearby, he took out the black Den Mushi and prepared to contact Ain. What happened there that made Borsalino so concerned? At the Wano-kuni Den Mushi research base, the Den Mushi on Ain's body made a low cry. Your phone is ringing, don't you want to answer it? This is the alarm I set. Ian explained stutteringly. Can anyone tell her why Aokiji is here? While she was breeding Den Mushi, Aokiji suddenly appeared at the research base, startling her. When did Den Mushi have this function? Aokiji said calmly. He took a quick tour of Wano-kuni, discovered this research base, and unexpectedly saw Neo Marine. He thought that Neo Marine had disbanded after the death of Teacher Zephyr, but he didn't expect to meet them again in Wano-kuni, and Ain became a researcher here. It was developed recently. Ian found that the Den Mushi on his body was still ringing, so he had to take it out and use its ability. The black Den Mushi turned into a larva and stopped chirping. The development of the alarm function failed. It keeps ringing. It seems that Den Mushi doesn't need this function. Ian explained reluctantly. Using black Den Mushi to research alarm clocks. Are Den Mushi nowadays so wealthy? Aokiji didn't believe what Ain said at all. The black Den Mushi in Akainu's hand suddenly became confused. This is... Akainu suddenly had a bad feeling. Did something happen to Ain? But there was nothing he could do now. Borsalino was sent out again. Should we contact Dark Horse and ask him to send more spies over? You're just going to keep breeding Den Den Mushi here. Aokiji didn't expect that Ain's ability could be used in this way. That's right. Ian put the baby Den Den Mushi into the glass greenhouse. Kuzan, why are you here? I want to see what the country will look like after Buggy transforms it. Aokiji said. Wait, you don't want to join the Buggy Pirates? Ian thought of a possibility. That's about right, Aokiji said. How could you fall to this level? You were once the top fighter in the Marines. Ain said angrily. Ah, it's not the same anymore. Aokiji laughed. I'm just a pirate now. And aren't you working for the Buggy Pirates, too, Ian? Ain was speechless. What you do is quite meaningful. Come on, Ain. Aokiji naturally knew the importance of Den Den Mushi. But don't do that alarm clock telephone bug again, otherwise you will be in danger. Aokiji has already guessed who is on the other side of the black Den Den Mushi. Sakazuki, you are not an honest person either. Chapter 97 The Value of Life, Whale Hunter, Kuzan. I'm just a researcher, how could I be in danger? Could these Den Den Mushi resist? Ian pretended not to understand. A bunch of Den Den Mushi are completing the Yamato harmony of life, and the black Den Den Mushi that have just turned into larvae are looking at this scene in horror. This scene was too exciting. Doing this in broad daylight gave it a long-lost impulse. You didn't call me to open the silver party, right? Humph, you ignorant young worm. That woman is the evil god Slanesh. You will know how powerful she is after a while. The most senior Den Den Mushi saw another new companion about to fall into the abyss, but a hand made of ice crystals grabbed it back. There is one thing you don't know. This black Den Den Mushi can only be claimed from the scientific Marine Corps with the consent of the Marine Admiral. Aokiji said as he looked at the Den Den Mushi struggling in his hands. Before I left the Marines, only Sakazuki reported that I had accidentally burned a black Den Den Mushi to death. This black Den Den Mushi with super communication ability is very rare, and the scientific Marine Corps has complained about it many times. Sakazuki has also been given the title of Den Den Mushi Killer. Listen, Ain, Aokiji said seriously, maybe Sakazuki got his revenge during the Summit War and wants to find someone to backstab a 4 Emperor. But Buggy is different from Whitebeard. Whitebeard puts family ties first and is extremely tolerant of his son, even to the point of forgiving the betrayal of the giant spider squad. You've seen how Buggy governs Wano Kuni. Do you think he would let a traitor go? And Aokiji couldn't figure out how Ain could assassinate a person with the ability to be torn into pieces. Swordplay has no effect on Buggy unless she uses her devil fruit ability. But Ain's ability of the retrograde fruit can only go back 12 years at a time, and the strong will not give her a second chance to use the ability. I'm not here to kill Buggy, I have another mission. Since Aokiji had discovered him, Ain removed the time reversal effect on the black Den Den Mushi. The black Den Den Mushi stopped struggling. Its body had turned back into that of an old man and was no longer subject to worldly desires. It had transcended. Aokiji dialed Den Den Mushi and the call was answered immediately. Ain, what just happened? Den Den Mushi made the sound of a kainu. Sakazuki, it's me, Aokiji said. Sure enough, it was Sakazuki who was behind it, but when did he get in touch with Noe Marine? Kuzan, where are you? Marshal Sakazuki, Admiral Kuzan also came to Wano Kuni and found us. Ian explained on the side. I've left the Marine, Ian. Aokiji didn't expect Ian to call him Admiral. We've discussed your situation, and everyone thinks you left the Marine in order to assassinate Blackbeard, Ian said. Aokiji suddenly felt that his leg was lost unfairly. I told you that your plan might not work, Kuzan. Den Den Mushi said, why are you going to Wano Kuni? Now that Blackbeard is dead, do you want to come back and help me? The Marines are very short of people right now. I don't want to go back. I feel more relaxed than ever after being away from the Marine, said Aokiji. You coward. Den Den Mushi cursed unceremoniously, have you given up your justice? No, but I can still achieve my justice elsewhere, said Aokiji. You didn't believe Buggy's words, did you? Den Mushi glared at Aokiji. What's wrong with your brain? He's a pirate. Sakazuki, the day before yesterday I met an intelligence agent under Dark Horse in Wano-kuni. He also defected. Do you want to hear his story? The day before yesterday, Aokiji came to Wano-kuni's most famous street lamp square with an empty stomach. There were countless mummies hanging on the densely packed wooden poles, which made Aokiji feel a little scared. I don't know who dehydrated these corpses, otherwise this scale would have caused a plague long ago. If you just look at this, anyone would think Buggy is a cruel ruler. But the rest of Wano-kuni was peaceful and full of laughter and joy. Are you, Mr. Kuzan? A voice interrupted Aokiji's thoughts. Aokiji didn't expect that someone in Wano-kuni would recognize him. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Who are you? I used to be an intelligence agent for the Marine Criminal Investigation Bureau. The young man in the blue hat said, but not anymore. Wait a moment, Mr. Kuzan, let me finish the work on my hands first. The young man added a new decoration to the street lamp. What crime did he commit? Aokiji asked. He is an official of Wano-kuni and he is corrupt and accepts bribes, the young man explained. Is this going to result in the death penalty? Aokiji was a little surprised. This crime wasn't punishable by death, right? If it were the old Wano-kuni, you would just need to bow and apologize. But times have changed, and the rules here are very strict now, Mr. Kuzan, said the young man. You were a Marine, don't you think this rule is unreasonable? Aokiji frowned. Although they have committed a crime, it is not fair to sentence them to death. Fair, Mr. Kuzan, this is the greatest fairness. In the outside world, some people are dying of heatstroke while others are dying of exhaustion from working so hard. But there are still people who are bragging that the money they spend on a meal is more than the money the people in front of them can earn in their entire lives. Is that fair? What they embezzled was not money, but other people's lives. 10,000 Baileys. Anyone who embezzles more than this amount will be sentenced to death, the young man said calmly. 10,000 Baileys can allow a person to grow from infancy to adulthood with the lowest living standard. This is the value of life. Is this why you betrayed Marine? Aokiji asked. For fairness. No, Mr. Kuzan, I once had a sister who was lively and lovely, like an angel. But later she got aristocratic disease. Aokiji knew that common people called diseases that they could not afford to treat, noble diseases. I met a kind doctor who treated my sister for free, but I couldn't afford the medicine, so my sister died anyway. Those drug dealers set the prices very high, and they also justified it by saying that it was for the healthy development of the medical industry. Ironically, as a Marine, I later protected their safety. You have no idea how rich they are. They sold cheap drugs at sky-high prices for their own enjoyment. And I could only watch my sister die. Captain Buggy said this is called capitalism. I don't understand what capitalism is, but I just want to hang them all on the street lights. Justice is no longer important to me. Even if Captain Buggy is evil, I will follow him because it doesn't cost money to treat illnesses here. After listening to Aokiji's story, Den Mushi was silent for a long time before speaking. So you were moved and decided to become a pirate. Sakazuki, fairness is also a kind of justice. Aokiji said, have you heard of whale fall? The death of one whale can sustain other creatures for hundreds of years. There are too many whales in the world. The world is overwhelmed by them. Sakazuki, I want to be a whale hunter. Aokiji said calmly. Quote question mark. Whale hunter. Kuzan. What an ugly name. Den Mushi said something in disgust, and then fell silent. Chapter 98 Akainu. Sengoku, I'm really angry right now. Inside the room, Sengoku and Garp were sharing senbei together when Akainu kicked the door open and rushed in. Sakazuki, as a marine marshal, don't you even have basic etiquette? Sengoku had a headache. Yeah, be careful or I'll break your legs. Garp said, pinching his nose. Politeness. Akainu put one foot on the table in front of Sengoku and looked down at Sengoku. You know, I'm really angry right now. Quote. Sengoku looked at Akainu, when are you not angry? Just now, Kuzan, whom you have high hopes for and regard as your successor, became a pirate in the true sense. Akainu said. Wahahahaha. Sengoku was still in a daze, but Garp was already laughing. Is this true? Sengoku, I'll see how you can talk about me again. Shut up. Sengoku yelled, you trained too. Sakazuki, what the hell is going on? Akainu relayed Aokiji's words. Isn't this what the Revolutionary Army does? Garp was very sensitive about this. It's much more radical than the Revolutionary Army. Sengoku said solemnly, the key is that this method can really solve many problems quickly. Then why didn't anyone use it before? Garp threw a senbei into his mouth. Because powerful people are themselves whales and there are enough fish and shrimp to eat, why should they kill each other? Sengoku said, and now there is an outlier. Buggy the Clown. Garp said. That's right. As a whale, instead of hunting fish and shrimp, it attacks its own kind. Sengoku said. What's even more terrifying is that he can also attract some powerful people to join this group. This is the most terrifying force on the sea. After listening to Akainu's description, Sengoku knew that Aokiji had made up his mind and would not come back. Now is not the time to talk about this. Akainu said, I have to go out for a while, you will act as the Marine Marshal. I'm already retired. Sengoku pointed at his white hair, don't embarrass an old man. And the 5 elders won't agree. Ignore those 5 idiots. They could have just removed me if they had the guts. Akainu glared at Sengoku. Once the news of Kuzan joining the Buggy Pirates gets out, you know what kind of impact it will have on Marine. The Marines are divided into radicals, moderates, and a group that just wants to eat and wait for death. The radicals originally regarded the previous Marine Marshal Sora as their spiritual leader, but Akainu gradually replaced him. The spiritual leader of the moderate faction was Sengoku, who later became Aokiji. After Aokiji left Marine, most of them followed Fujitora. Even though radicals are the mainstream now, the power of moderates cannot be underestimated. If Kuzan is determined, he can cause a split in Marine at any time. Even if only 1/10 of the moderates choose to follow him, it will cause great damage to Marine's vitality. Akainu said sternly. In fact, he was more worried about Fujitora. What if that guy suddenly had a brain attack and didn't want to be a Marine anymore? What would he do then? With the addition of Aokiji, the strength of the Buggy Pirates is almost the same as that of the Marine. If another one leaves, he would simply have to give up his position as Marine Marshal. What do you want to do, Sakazuki? Sengoku asked. You stay at the Marine headquarters, and I will lead the rest of the Marines to attack and wipe out the pirates. Akainu said. Now we can only rely on this to strengthen the cohesion of the Marine. I thought you were going to attack the Buggy Pirates. Garp was very disappointed. Buggy is right. The era of pirates is over. Before I fight him, I need to clean up those bastards first. Wait, Sengoku heard something wrong. You are going to lead all the Marines to attack. Who else is in the Marine headquarters? The Marine is shorthanded, you'll have to rely on yourself. Akainu said. Vice Admiral Garp, what do you think? Me, of course I'm going out too. If you hadn't activated the highest alert, I'd still be looking for Edward Weeble. Garp didn't want to stay here. You let me stay in the Marine headquarters alone, what if the Buggy Pirates come to attack? Sengoku didn't expect Akainu to make such an irrational decision. I'll have people plant explosives underneath the Marine headquarters, and Dark Horse will be on standby there. If the Buggy Pirates come, he'll ignite the explosives, said Akainu. Sakazuki. Sengoku gritted his teeth, thank you. The Marine has reached its most dangerous time. People are worried and don't know why they are fighting. I must use a war to tell the world that in this ocean, only the Marine is the real justice. This is my duty as the Marine Marshal. If you disagree, then just leave an empty Marine headquarters here. Akainu said, and without waiting for Sengoku's reply, he turned and left. I may not like Sakazuki, but he is more courageous than you, Sengoku. Garp was still crunching his senbei. If I had the guts, you'd be extinct long ago, Garp. Sengoku snorted. You really want to stay here and sit on a mountain of dynamite? Garp felt guilty. Sakazuki is right. Marine is in urgent need of a major war to stabilize people's hearts. He has fulfilled his duty as a marshal, and I, as a senior, cannot lose face. Sengoku stood up. Besides, I have to stay here to give an explanation to the 5 elders. Forget it, I'll stay and help you. Garp changed his mind. If the Buggy Pirates really come, we might die together. Sengoku said. When we were chasing Roger pirates around the world, Buggy might have been crying on the boat with snot running down his nose. Garp laughed. Whitebeard isn't the only remnant of the old days. On Sabayati Island, Buggy handed Mr. 3 and others over to Rayleigh. While chatting with Shaki, he noticed that the screen in the bar was lit up. Didn't Morgan say that the losses of Den Den Mushi were almost all over? How come he can still start the live broadcast? Buggy became interested. Shaki looked at the Den Den Mushi and said, "This is not the signal from the World News Agency, but from Marine." There was already an image on the screen. In front of the towering Marine headquarters, hundreds of warships were neatly lined up, ready to go. What a grand occasion! Buggy exclaimed. Marine still has money. Although he has many strong men under his command, he cannot gather so many ships. We still need to raise some small sums of money and start the large-scale construction mode. On the leading warship, Akainu, wearing the uniform of Marine Marshal, stood at the bow and announced to the world, since the death of Gul D. Roger, the pirates' era that has lasted for more than 20 years should come to an end. Let us, the Marines, end this era. At the Marine headquarters, 3 old men were watching this scene. I worked so hard to save up my fortune, but it was Sakazuki who stole the show. Sengoku said, I'm a little unhappy. Live streaming wasn't popular back then, otherwise we could have recorded the battle in God Valley. It would have been much more exciting than fighting Blackbeard. Garp also sighed. You two stop being sour here. He rolled his eyes at the two of them. We are old now. Now is the era of the young. HMPH, if the 3 of us join forces, even Buggy. Before Garp could finish his words, Sengoku covered his mouth and said, Can you please stop talking nonsense? Amid Crane's laughter, the warships began to move, heading in various directions. Chapter 99 The Crisis of the Fishmen Island. It seems that Marine is serious this time. Rayleigh glanced at the screen and asked, Did you and Akainu discuss this? Buggy just started to clean up the pirates, and Akainu took over. How is that possible? Buggy picked up the wine in front of him and drank it all. I don't have anything in common with that kind of middle-aged man. He's not the cool little sister of Marine. But Akainu is still not extreme enough. If he had asked the S*******E King to give each Marine senior executive a transgender hormone, the effect of the world conscription would have been 10 times better. If this continues, Sabayati Archipelago will become deserted in the future, Shaki said. Since it is the only way to the New World, many pirates gather here in Sabayati Archipelago, and now Shaki can hear the noise outside. Marshal Marine went out in person, so these guys naturally didn't dare to stay here any longer. No, without the pirates, there will be others sailing the seas. Buggy said, this may be the only good thing about the pirates' era. It makes people realize that there is such a big world outside. As long as there is profit, someone will set sail. Will your plan really succeed? It seems that Sabayati Archipelago doesn't have any special products. Rayleigh said. It's not just specialty products that can be traded, bulk commodities like grain, spices, sugar, and fish can also be traded, Buggy explained. For example, fish can be sold at a high price in Alabasta. Buggy suddenly saw Shaki staring at him. Sister Shaki, what's wrong? You are very well informed. You know about something that just happened recently. Shaki said. What news? Buggy asked puzzledly. Human trafficking. Recently, there are many slave hunting teams in Sabayati Archipelago. They capture fishermen and mermaids and transport them to Alabasta. Shaki, as an intelligence dealer, also got the information recently. Hey, I'm not talking about this kind of fish. However, Buggy thought that human trafficking had disappeared in the Sabayati Archipelago, but he didn't expect it to still exist. Buggy tapped the table lightly. Is there no one to take care of this kind of thing? I remember that the Fishmen Island is also a member of the world government. The original Sabayati Archipelago Islands 1 to 29 were all human trafficking shops and human auctions. But since the Celestial Dragons incident, this kind of thing has become much less common. After Doflamingo's fall, almost all human trafficking shops that lost their backers went bankrupt. Buggy didn't expect this behavior to resurface. Who's going to take care of it? Most of the slave hunting teams are official troops of Alabasta. These slaves are said to be sold to Alabasta, but in fact the real buyers are someone else. Shaki said sarcastically. The Fishmen Island was still a friendly country with Alabasta. The Fishmen Island even wanted to establish an activity point on land in Alabasta, but everything changed after Cobra died. All the mermaids who came ashore were captured, and now a slave-catching team has been organized to capture slaves. Didn't the Fishmen Island ask Luffy for help? Aren't they protected by the Straw Hat Pirates? Buggy asked. You know the situation of the Straw Hat Pirates. They don't have time to take care of these things. Unless they stay on Mermaid Island all the time, this kind of thing cannot be stopped. Rayleigh said. In other words, the Straw Hat Pirates are not as intimidating as the other four emperors. When the Whitebeard Pirates or the Bigmom Pirates were protecting the Fishmen Island, other forces only dared to capture mermaids secretly. Now the Fishmen Island is under the banner of the Straw Hat Pirates, but Alabasta is openly capturing mermaids, which has caused other forces to become restless. It's because there's not enough blood on our hands. Buggy certainly understood, so good people always suffer more. He was clearly strong enough to crush everyone else, but just because he was a good guy, some bugs dared to jump around. You're not going to do anything? Rayleigh asked. I'm not a pushover. Unless Mermaid Island joins us, why would I go and save them? Buggy was somewhat amused and confused. Besides, they are not powerless to resist. Poseidon. Rayleigh knew about this 10 years before Shirahoshi was born. If the mermaids really use this power, regardless of whether it will destroy the world, it will at least affect your plan. There is some truth to this. Rayleigh saw Buggy was lost in thought, and continued, Neptune has some connections with our Roger pirates, so you can do us a favor and let the Fishmen Island fly under your banner. Okay, I agree. Just consider it as tuition for these 3 guys. Buggy still agreed, and Rayleigh agreed to help teach Mr. 3 and the others, and he owed him a favor. Since he had spoken, Buggy naturally had to give him some face. Okay, I'll go inform Neptune right away. Rayleigh smiled. Sister Shaki, the deputy captain is so enthusiastic, could he have a lover on the Fishmen Island? Buggy said jokingly when he saw Rayleigh couldn't wait to go out. Don't worry, he doesn't have the energy. Shaki glanced at Rayleigh's back with disdain. Buggy decided to bring some supplements to Rayleigh next time. When he and Shaki stood together, they didn't look like they were from the same generation. What if the Fishmen Island puts up your flag and Alabasta still refuses to give up? Shaki asked. What is happening in Alabasta now? Who is in power? Buggy only knew that Cobra was assassinated and was not clear about the other circumstances. The army is controlled by the royal family's side branches. Although the legitimate heir Nefeltari Vivi wants to go back and take back power, there is probably no hope for him, said Shaki. I see, if they don't know how to live or die. Buggy paused. Old Sand, then you have to tell them the price of offending us. Crocodile was stunned, then overjoyed. Now he just hoped that those people in Alabasta would be ungrateful and give him a chance to go back. I will let them know what a real desert emperor is. Crocodile grinned. Originally, considering the attitude of the world government and the marine, he chose to erode Alabasta step by step. But now with the support of the Buggy Pirates, he is fully capable of taking down Alabasta alone. But what Buggy doesn't know is that on the Fishmen Island under the sea, his people have already clashed with the Alabasta slave hunting team. Inside the barrier of the Fishmen Island, the Alabasta slave hunting team looked at the man in front of them with fear. The 2 shortle knives in his hands were still dripping with blood, and the 2 ivory-shaped decorations on his head and shoulders indicated his identity. Jack the Drow. Why are you here? Chapter 100. Hero appears, Jack the Murloc King. Jack and Tipping Star wandered around the sea for a long time but didn't find any enemies. Finally, at the request of Tipping Star, the unwilling Jack decided to go to the Fishmen Island. The Tipping Star summoned 2 whales to pull the small boat, and they arrived near the Fishmen Island at a very fast speed. Tipping Star invited Jack to his home, but Jack didn't like the feeling of being weak all over after coming into contact with seawater. But you can't go back, brother Jack. Tiltstar said, without my command, the whale won't take you back. Quote. Jack was silent for a while, then grabbed Tipping Star and lifted him up. Why didn't you say so earlier? I thought you knew, said Doing with a sad face. Jack was thinking about how to get back, and Doing made a suggestion. Why don't you go to my house first, and then I'll ask my family to take you back. Okay. Jack jumped directly into the sea and sank to the bottom of the sea. Wait, the swimming coating hasn't been applied yet. Tipping Star didn't expect Jack to be so decisive, and hurried into the sea to chase Jack. After applying the swimming coating on Jack's body, a bubble separated Jack from the sea water, allowing Jack to move freely in the sea. What is this? Jack asked in surprise. The swimming coating is somewhat similar to the ship coating. Boss Jack, haven't you seen this thing before? Asked Tipping Star. Wano Kuni doesn't have such a thing. If it did, many things would be much more convenient. Jack recalled the unbearable experience of being tied up and thrown into the water again and again. We'll be fine once we get to the Fishmen Island. There's a bubble film shield that separates us from the seawater, said Tipping Star. Jack ignored him and swam happily in the sea. He found the feeling he had before eating the devil fruit. No matter if you are a mermaid or a fish man, you are happiest living in the sea. Why do you have to go to land? Flipping Star does not understand the dream of his mother, Princess Odahime, and wants to migrate to land in order to allow humans and fishmen to coexist peacefully. But the reality hit them hard. They had originally agreed with Alabasta at the World Congress to exchange resources for a piece of land on which they could live. But after Alabasta and other mermaids came ashore, they also captured them as resources. Suddenly, Tipping Star noticed that Jack couldn't move while swimming. What's wrong, Jack? Is the swimming coating leaking? There's something going on over there, Jack said, pointing in a direction. That's... Tiltstar's eyes suddenly widened. Alabasta's slave-catching team. The front is already the outskirts of the Fishmen Island. Under the bubble film shield, an army is escorting a group of fishmen, and several mermaids are being specially guarded. Is it the enemy? Jack drew out his scimitar. Yes, but, just as Tiltstar was about to explain, Jack rushed out. After coming into contact with the bubble membrane shield, the swimming coating on Jack's body automatically merged with it. A huge figure dropped from the sky, and the scimitar in his hand marked the beginning of the massacre. By the time Alabasta's slave hunting team reacted, about a third of them had already fallen under the scimitars. Looking at this Shinigami-like figure, someone recognized Jack's identity. Are you Jack the Drow? Why are you here? Do I need to report to you ants? Jack swung his knife at the person who was speaking, but the person dodged it at an extremely fast speed. Is this Marine 6 Styles? Jack recognized the man who dodged his attack by shaving. Marine. When did Alabasta get in touch with Marine? Flipstar, who followed closely, heard Jack's words. Not Marine, they smell familiar. Jack was trying to recall when the man attacked with a Tempest Kick. Jack ignored his attack and the Tempest Kick didn't hurt him at all. He swung his scimitar and slashed at the man fiercely. Iron Body. At the critical moment, the man used the Iron Body skill, preparing to take the scimitar attack head-on. But under Jack's extraordinary strength, Iron Body didn't work at all and he was directly chopped and seriously injured. I remember now, you guys smell like CP0. Jack had dealt with CP0 on Onigashima, and the enemy in front of him gave him a similar feeling to CP0. Outside the Fishmen Island, there is a coated ship waiting to pick up the slave hunting team. Inside the cabin, several people wearing pure white clothes with the emblem of the sky-soaring dragon's hoof on their collars discovered the changes below. After watching for a while, the leader gave the order, let's go. We won't help them. The others were puzzled. We should be able to kill Jack if we work together. But it will take time. Since Jack is here, it means Buggy wants to interfere in the affairs of the Fishmen Island. I'm worried that he will have helpers later, said the leader. That's Lord Yim's order. Someone took out a photo. In the photo, Shirahoshi was smiling happily, but there was a gap in the middle of the photo, as if it had been pierced by a sharp weapon. Lord Im should be able to understand. After all, our opponent is the Four Emperors Buggy. But that guy was able to detect our plan. Is there something wrong? The leader in white looked at Jack, who was going crazy, and felt a little confused. Could something have gone wrong with the 5 elders? They are the only ones who know about this operation. Someone made a guess. Let's go back and investigate more carefully. I didn't expect that our Night of God's first mission outing would be sabotaged by Buggy. The coated boat left the Fishmen Island and floated upwards. The abandoned Alabasta slave hunting team collapsed and wanted to surrender, but Jack ignored it and chased them regardless. A captured fishman was watching this scene, and suddenly bent down to pick up the weapon on the ground, and joined the pursuit with chains. The other fishmen cheered and followed suit. After all the enemies were eliminated, all the Murlocs faced Jack and knelt on one knee. Lord Jack, thank you for saving us. Please accept our loyalty. The first fishman who resisted shouted. Not interested. Jack put away his weapon. His opponent was too weak, so he didn't enjoy the fight to his heart's content. Please, Lord Jack, our Murloc tribe really needs a hero and a leader. The Murloc refused to give up. After the death of Fisher Tiger, the fish people lost their leader and became a group of scattered sand. Originally, Sea Knight Jinbei could succeed Fisher Tiger as the new leader of the fishmen, but he gave up this responsibility and followed Straw Hat Luffy. From then on, the status of the fishmen plummeted. But now they have found a Murloc who is more capable of fighting. In the eyes of the Murlocs who worship the strong, Jack is fully qualified to be the leader of the Murloc tribe. Leader. Jack was a little confused. I was just going out to sea. How did I become the leader of the Merman tribe? Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.